We're live. Hello again. We are back for more. All right. Yeah, we're live, guys. We are back. Hello, Amazing 404. Welcome to the podcast. As you used the title correctly, this is not an episode of Talkcast and Pals. Heck, it's not even an event stream about internet drama we had to put with. But yes, we are finally starting the podcast series that I have been building up since the start of, I guess, December, and announce it hopefully by the end of screw it, I can't really remember to say my lies, but yeah, I announced this back in December as well as throughout the year that we'll be doing a new spin-off series. Yeah, I kind of spoiled the name of the stream, but yeah. Just waiting for more people to show up. Still waiting because some of these are slow burn. Hey, Sean.
Hello.
What's up?
I'm doing good.
Yep. I think it's time now to launch our little podcast here, a new spin-off of our podcast series where we talk about certain cartoons.
Yep. And I already know what this one is about.
Yep. I said that this was going to be the first one, and we're going to stick by it.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready, kids?
Aye, Captain.
I can't hear you.
Aye, Captain.
Oh. Yeah. So where do we start with this show and what it meant to us? How did SpongeBob how did you get introduced to SpongeBob?
I forgot how I was introduced to it. Although I forgot how I was introduced to it, but I do know that one day it was playing on in the living room, and that was my earliest memory of SpongeBob. I was basically a toddler at the time, I think.
Yeah. My introduction to SpongeBob was actually when someone ended up renting me a DVD of one of the Halloween DVD, the one that has scaredy pants.
Yeah.
And that was my first major exposure to the franchise. And I have some bits and pieces of the show back during my youth. It was back when I didn't have cable, by the way. Back when I was working with stuff like Cubo, because I was a non-cable kid.
When I was watching things on cable, my mom told me this, but I was actually more interested in Cartoon Network. Um, Although and even to this day, I am still interested in Cartoon Network. But Nickelodeon did have some very good shows on at the time.
Yeah, and I started, and then I decided, and then once I did get cable, I was able to watch the show, and I started all the way back in August 2020. I mean August 2014.
Hmm.
Back when halfway through season 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I was attached with this show for a long time.
And the funniest part about all of that, this is that season 9 was the one that ran the longest.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it went from 20 it went all the way from 2012 all the way to 2017.
5 years of it, and yeah, all of us grew up with CN and Nickelodeon.
Yeah. I mostly grew up with Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network.
Yeah, but for
I
whatever
I
reason,
mean, I didn't
all,
really get into Disney Channel until way later, until like 2012. But I did. I mostly just watched Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network.
yeah. So how would we? All right. So and yeah, and one thing I will say I remember going to see Sponge Out of Water in theaters when I was like 10, but on opening day, mind you, that was the first movie I ever saw in a theater.
Hmm. Sponge Out of Water was the first SpongeBob movie that I saw in theaters because I didn't see a movie in theaters until 2006 with the first Cars movie.
All right. Yeah, exactly. I can feel that one. And yeah, good to know that you grew up with Disney Channel. Me, I never really cared all that much for Disney Channel, mostly thanks in part to their tween coms. Because, I was born in
Yeah.
2004. Yeah.
Yeah, 2014, in my opinion, was definitely Disney Channel's worst year.
Yeah. And really, I never really cared for Disney Channel. Like, the only shows I ever watched in full was Gravity Falls. You need to watch some of their other shows as well.
Hmm. And like something that I will definitely say about SpongeBob is that it actually is that it has definitely one of the most timeless animated shows of all time.
Hey there, guys.
What's up, Ethan?
Nothing much.
Yeah, we're here to launch our first third of our new podcast series, talking about cartoons. So I figured the first one up would be SpongeBob.
Yep.
Mhm.
And I
Uh,
just
uh,
came
Yeah.
back from seeing. I just came back from seeing Clown in a Cornfield.
Oh, all right. Yeah. All right. How did you get introduced to SpongeBob if you ever watched it?
Um, I think I got into SpongeBob by I'm not sure.
Yeah. I got around to it when I rented up a DVD of it. I think it was from my library at some point in my area.
I'm gonna show off what I did get recently.
This is actually more of a spin-off series, not where we don't usually do our criteria for showcase and stuff. More or less showcase pickle treasures, cracked comment of the day, and so on and so forth. So because since this is more of a different series with a different
Gotcha.
structure, yeah.
yeah.
So yeah,
And what I will say about SpongeBob's popularity right now is that it's both a curse and a blessing because this was the show that basically sparked the idea for Nickelodeon that every single show that came after it had to be as successful as SpongeBob for it to keep running.
Yeah, and we all know if you're like, yeah. So far, the only shows currently that Nickelodeon has yet to kill are SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, Outhouse, those, and I guess Paw Patrol.
I mean, they did have the 2021 Rugrats revival, the 2021 Rugrats reboot, but that show is over now.
Yeah. So far, like right now, the only other Nickelodeon show besides those three that are still currently being run now is the new Smurf show. Yeah, that's right. At least from what I can tell, because although even the way they're airing that show is sketchy with me. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, anyway,
whereas with Cartoon Network, that series that network is on life support now because of the horrible decisions that David Zaslav made. Nickelodeon is in the rut that's in right now because they just don't really give any show a chance besides SpongeBob or The Loud House.
yeah, but at least Nickelodeon is still at least able to still functions as a network, despite the controversies that surround it. Cough, cough, Dan Schneider, cough.
Yeah.
Hey, did
Yeah,
anyone see the trailer for the Gabby's Dollhouse movie?
yeah, it was
No.
cringe.
Is anyone excited for it?
No, it's probably my least anticipated movie in the fall season.
Same here.
Like I'm gonna go ahead and say it. The new movie actually looks better than the new Gabby's Dollhouse movie. I'm serious about that.
I mean, they both
But
look.
anyway,
To me, they both look equally as bad.
yeah. Anyways,
had Paramount not learned from what happened with the Sony Smurfs live action movies?
Yeah.
yeah. Anyways, speaking of Paramount, let's get back to talking about this show again, because with Sponge Out of Water being the first movie I ever saw in theaters, and Sean stating that Sponge Out of Water was the first SpongeBob movie he ever watched in theaters, I can assume that any of you watched any. How do we start with this show more?
Let's go ahead and start where it all began, season 1.
Oh yeah, the one that started it all.
The first episode of the series, Help Wanted.
Yeah, the one that started it all. And you can definitely tell that, like, at the start of the show, that, and even the classic era where you can tell the people behind Rocko's Modern Life were a part of this show as well.
Yeah, even in the designs in the pilot episode, you can tell that it was from the same people who were behind Rocko's Modern Life, and even in some of the jokes that were in the show, in specific, were the people behind Rocko were also a part of SpongeBob. Like, we all know the classic Sailor Mouth episode.
That as a kid, that episode was always hilarious.
Yeah.
Like no, and I think that's what helped me embrace the concept of cussing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, bear! I'm trying to do that dolphin noise. Yeah. So, in Help Wanted, how would we summarize this episode?
It's basically the one. The best way to sum it up is that it's the one that started it all, and also, and by the way, no Camp Coral. This is not how SpongeBob met Squidward and Mr. Krabs.
Yeah, and also that's also and Camp Coral. This is not how SpongeBob and Sandy met. Like, God, that one was really frustrating.
Yeah. Like, it's literally the episode where Help Wanted is literally the episode where SpongeBob gets hired at the Krusty Krab.
And of course, we're to a song where living in the sunlight. Yeah.
Yeah, when the show ended up having its first 3 seasons released on DVD, in the first season, Help Wanted was actually not allowed to be on the first season's DVD for a while, mainly because of copyright, because of the song that was featured.
Yeah. Well, the only time I was ever able to see this on DVD was when they, those years later when they released the SpongeBob You're Fired DVD.
We all know how that episode ended up.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that one when we talk about some mentioning of some of the worst episodes of the show.
Exactly.
Especially during, and considering I'm also going to be planning on doing a top 30 worst SpongeBob episodes. Yeah, I'm actually doing a stream on the, where I talk about the most hated episodes of the series.
Yeah. Yeah. Both the all 3 eras of the series, pre-movie, post-movie, and post-sequel eras, do have bad episodes, even in the post-sequel and pre-movie eras, regardless of if we find it them good or bad.
Yeah, with episodes like I'm with Stupid and Ink Lemonade to come to mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other time I was able to find this episode on DVD was actually called The Pilot, the Mini Movie, and the Square Shorts, which I do own that one actually.
Hmm.
That DVD that had the first both Help Wanted and Reef Blower, which and of course the infamous Truth or Square, but it also had some of the shorts.
Hi, Zaid. How's your promise
Zaid
to your father?
By the way,
Hello
I
there,
put something in
my
the private
fellow-
chat.
Hello, my fellow Spongians.
No. Nobody wants Dan Schneider in anything.
No. I will not allow the Feet Man to show up in my cartoon.
Yeah.
He will be banned permanently.
Yeah. And of course, the other episode was called Reef Blower, which is basically a silent episode because I think something went wrong in production. You notice that the dialogue is non-existent. You have to use subtitles.
Yeah, and although it kind of works in a similar way as a Tom and Jerry cartoon.
Yeah, it's always good when some silence actually helps comedy for the better.
Right.
And of course, Amazing 44 brought this up. Yeah, that was the other episode in the first episode that it never came out.
Yeah. By the way, and once again, Camp Coral, this is not how SpongeBob met Sandy at all.
Hello.
Get it right, Camp Coral.
I am Fury of the Film Fan.
Yuri, what are you doing here?
I wanted to come here and say hello.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, talking about season 1 gave us some pretty notable episodes. One episode that I've always gone back on rewatching was Ripped Pants as a kid.
I also love the episode Pizza Delivery, which was a showcase of how Squidward is not always a grump towards SpongeBob.
Yeah, and in fact,
Squidward is a good neighbor.
yeah,
Get it right,
because
SpongeBob writers.
yes, because we actually see SpongeBob and Squidward actually work together in an episode, even if their personalities clash. Not to mention, I will always love the moment where Squidward sticks up to that rude customer because
Well,
oh
this
no,
one's on the house.
yeah, all because oh, quote SpongeBob forgot his drink, even though he never ordered the drink.
Yeah, all he did was order a Krusty Krab pizza, and plus, didn't he buy his Diet Dr. Kelp at the Bargain Mart?
Yeah, like seriously though, if you're that desperate for a drink, go at the store or have it in your house.
Yes, please go get a drink. You don't need
No,
to ask
instead you have to
SpongeBob
yell
and
at
Squidward
SpongeBob
for
and
it.
throw the pizza in his face to the point where SpongeBob ended up crying.
Yeah,
Chadward.
What a jerk! What a jerk!
What a jerk indeed.
and another very classic episode is the one where SpongeBob and Patrick get stranded in Rock Bottom.
Oh, yes,
the
I
episode
remember
where
that
SpongeBob gets
episode.
Yep. Yeah, the pizza
Next
delivery
bus
episode is really
to
good.
Bikini Bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
and another
pizza?
what about the episode Band Geeks?
Oh, that's an absolute classic.
Yeah, the greatest cartoon episode ever, actually.
Sweet victory, yeah.
And because of SpongeBob's influence, there actually ended up being writers who went on to make other shows. Like, take for instance C.H. Greenblatt, as well as Dan Swampy.
Yeah.
Oh yes,
and even
I know who C.H. Greenblatt is. He is the guy who created Chowder.
Yeah, as well as Harvey Beaks. Oh, by the way, Nickelodeon should be ashamed of themselves for the way they treated the show.
Right.
Exactly.
Fuck you, Nickelodeon.
And also, shame on you, Nickelodeon, for how you treated My Life as a Teenage Robot as well.
Screw you, Nick. That was my favorite Nicktoon ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's also some really bad SpongeBob episodes, like A Pal for Gary, One Course Meal.
But those are in the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
We're talking about the episodes from the pre-movie seasons.
Oh.
Yeah. We're in the pre-movie season.
One that immediately comes to mind is I'm What's Stupid.
Oh God, that episode. Objectively, it's not even the worst pre-movie episode in my opinion. I would go to Dumped. I actually think Dumped is worse because with I Was Stupid, at least it started off well, and it wasn't until the second half where the episode kind of dipped into Patrick being unlikable. With Dumped, that episode was just depressing and cruel to SpongeBob, with a twist that absolutely is ridiculous. Seriously, though.
And there's also this episode, Krabby Land.
The earliest indication of Mr. Krabs being a gritty jerkwad, which would get worse in later seasons, actually.
Though there is one, there are two moments that are funny in the episode, like SpongeBob going all like, "You promised us Krabby the Clown, but all I saw there was Chibi the Cheapskate," and the one where
I ain't cheap.
end the moment where Mr. Krabs basically said, "The children. I don't care about the children. I only care about their parents' money," which I could use to describe Nickelodeon in a nutshell.
Yeah,
I
as
hope
well as
you get
Elon
karma,
Musk.
crabs.
Yeah. And let's see. Let's go back to some pre-movie stuff. Let's see. What's another
My Life
iconic
as a Teenage
episode?
Robot
Oh
was
yeah.
a good show.
Oh yeah. There was also a Krusty Krab training video.
Oh, yes.
Sounds like a lot of
Hoopla! Okay,
Sounds like
the
a lot
secret
of,
formula is...
and we never know what the secret formula is.
Top 10 things scientists will never answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, Wendy's had a Krabby Patty that was made, but it was so disappointing.
Yeah. And the only reason I would ever want to grab that Krabby Patty thing was only just to get the pineapple shake.
I have tried that before. The Krabby Patty.
Yeah. Apparently, yeah. And let's see, there was also chocolate with nuts.
Yeah. The chocolate guy screaming,
You say
chocolate!
Chocolate! Oh, definitely.
There was there's also the secret box with Patrick going all like, "The inner machinations of my mind are an enigma."
Yeah, that's something that pre-movie SpongeBob was at its best. It had so many quotable lines.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the best pairing in the entire show. That episode was paired with Band Geeks.
Yeah. Neat SpongeBob movie DVD.
The
Yeah.
SpongeBob SquarePants movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, this show not only had a great first 3 seasons, it also sparked some good games like Battle for Bikini Bottom and the first movie game.
I wish I could play Battle for Bikini Bottom.
Yeah. Like, it's honestly sad that the SpongeBob movie, the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, never got a re-release in theaters. Like, if it got a re-release in theaters, would it have actually gone to see it?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
If only just to live that experience. Especially last year for the 25th anniversary of the show and the 20th anniversary of this movie as well. Now that we're born, we can do anything. Now that we're born.
Yep.
Yeah. A few days ago, I actually released a review on a SpongeBob product for the franchise's 26th anniversary.
SpongeBob also made a guest appearance in The Matrix Resurrections, where he transformed into the Goofy Goober and killed all the evil people in the world while singing that legendary song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Epic comment there. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually watched the SpongeBob SquarePants movie multiple times, especially when it aired on Nickelodeon. Yeah, one thing, apparently that was meant to be the series finale.
But SpongeBob raked in so much money that Nickelodeon decided to give them another season.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that would end up being both a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, as it led to Nickelodeon mistreating several shows because they think that because it's not as popular as SpongeBob, that means that's a failure.
Yeah, but unfortunately, thankfully, because we're not a bunch of sponge boomers who hate everything after the first movie and call everything trash.
Nor do I want to away rumors of Hillenberg.
Oh my god, these people are I can't stand it when people are still lying about Hillenberg's supposed wishes.
Yeah, like regardless of what I personally think about Camp Coral, Steve was aware that Camp Coral was being developed.
Yeah, and the fact that people are still twisting his words up, seeing any spinoffs, and trying to twist it into Steve hated the idea of spinoffs.
And there's also the
You
Patrick
people are
Star
not
Show.
real fans of Steven Hillenberg.
Oh yeah, the Patrick Star Show. The most memorable moment, most memorable episode of that show was when Bubble Bass was the nostalgia critic.
Yeah, yeah. That moment where Bubble Bass goes on a rant about every episode of the Patrick Star Show being tossed in a dumpster and set on fire is exactly the kind of rant that a certain angry culture
Right,
war
I'm
punk
gonna
will
eat
go
dinner.
on.
All right, like
Go eat dinner.
the Patrick Star Show is a crime against humanity, and all those who I just botched it.
Every one of these.
Every one of these episodes should be thrust in the dumpster and set on fire.
The Star Wars sequel trilogy is a crime against humanity, and everyone involved with it should be thrown in jail.
Patrick Star for creating it. Sorry. That sometimes on live streams I could sometimes forget quotes.
Ryan Johnson and J.J. Abrams for directing it, Kathleen Kennedy for producing it, and the brain dead morons for watching it.
Oh yeah, but that was mostly thanks in part to review bombing. Like if you actually look on IMDb on the episodes themselves, they actually have some pretty good scores.
Mm-hmm.
Just to know,
regarding my thoughts on the Patrick Star Show, I actually surprisingly ended up liking the series.
Yeah, so I don't see why people hated it, other than review bombers who are still butthurt and try to twist Hillenberg and try to think that they're quote unquote protecting Mr. Hillenberg when all they're doing is speaking for his death, which is actually more disrespectful by doing
you are
that.
Putting words into Hillenberg's
dead guy's mouth. Yeah, like you're putting the words of a dead, put the words of a dead guy in his mouth of things he never said.
Exactly.
Like, what sounds more disrespectful? Nickelodeon just greenlighting spinoffs, even though Steve was aware, or putting words in a dead guy's mouth?
Putting words in a dead guy's mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. And then let's see some pre-movie episodes that still stick with us. There's also
one that still sticks with me is the episode "Dying for Pie." Another moment where Squidward shows that he actually cares about SpongeBob.
Yep, and yeah, another one I can think of is an episode called SB129. You know, which apparently was able to get a sequel episode in the show's later years, along with Idiot Box.
Yeah. There's also Crabborg, which has a joke that I still tell to this very day to people. Why couldn't the 11-year-old get into the pirate movie? Why? It was rated
because
R.
it was rated R. And there's also there's also Karate Choppers, which is basically which we actually do see SpongeBob and Sandy, you know, duke it out with karate, and this also might as well just be a huge allegory for sex.
Yeah, and there's also the episode "My Pretty Seahorse," which is actually a very touching episode for a comedy show.
Yeah. And one pre-movie episode that apparently the listeners make sure that you never want to forget is Imitation Crabs.
Yeah, apparently the show it doesn't want you to forget it because it ripped off because the show itself ripped off Imitation Crabs not once, not twice, not even 3 times, but a jillion times.
Yeah, especially in that season 7, we got Plankton, impersonating Sandy. Oh God, that episode was beyond horrible. Plankton imitating SpongeBob's grandma, and Plankton imitating Gary.
Mm-hmm.
How many imitation episodes are you going to do?
Yeah. Yeah, and
Oh
of
yeah.
course they're all
Claus from season 3 was another memorable episode. Actually, the episode was called Clams.
yeah. AKA the big love letter to Jaws.
Yeah, I like the part where Mr. Krabs says, "This isn't my $1 million. This is an ordinary dollar that has been crumbled up, torn slightly, salted in the lagoon, and kissed on it with coral blue semi-gloss lipstick."
What is your favorite SpongeBob villain?
Yeah. Let's see another pre-movie episode that comes to mind. Oh yeah, Christmas Who?
Yeah, yet another case of Squidward showing that he cares about SpongeBob.
I
Yeah,
feel like a
it was
big
the first.
jerk.
Yeah, it was the first special of the entire show, which also meant it was the introduction of Mr. Patchy the Pirate.
Yeah. Although Christmas Who was was actually one of the only times that during the pre-movie seasons that SpongeBob really got one of its specials actually good. Like there was Party Pooper Pants, which was not good.
And there was the Sponge Who Could Fly, which was a mixed bag. Like I enjoyed the Patchy segments a lot. The SpongeBob story, I couldn't care less.
It was all a complete waste of time.
Yeah. And of course there was or SpongeBob BC, which was a good episode, but does anybody talk about that episode at all?
Not really. I really, in fact, it's one of the very few specials of the show that doesn't really air all that much.
I only remember one scene of it.
And speaking of SpongeBob episodes that don't really air all that much, Scaredy Pants and I Was a Teenage Gary.
Yeah, those 2 episodes only really air during Halloween.
Yeah,
I was also thinking of the Valentine's episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, because Valentine's Day is only 11 minutes, guess what its sister episode is?
The Paper.
Yeah, it's only an episode you only get to see once a year. Like, all because it's paired up with Valentine's Day. The only way you're able to watch it outside of just being in the first half of February is if you either have it on DVD somewhere or if you're able to purchase it somewhere. Like, if you have it on demand or, I guess, on Paramount Plus.
I defy you, Heartman.
Yeah. I defy you, Butch Hartman.
I defy you, Heartman. And then as soon as Patrick rips the Heartman's costume, underneath is Butch Hartman.
Yeah.
Oh no, not the guy who created our childhoods.
Steven Hillenburg created our childhoods.
Yeah, and Butch Hartman is an untalented hack.
Like the reason as to why Fairly Odd Parents went downhill was because he gained more control over it.
Yeah, because we all know, like, I'm not saying studio interference is a good thing, but sometimes studio interference does save something, save people from shitty ideas.
Exactly.
Hey, Heart fans.
Yeah, like we're looking at you, Zack Snyder.
As well as George Lucas.
Yeah, even though the hate for George Lucas goes a bit too far. Especially if you know that certain little documentary in 2010.
Exactly.
I haven't seen it.
It's called The People versus George Lucas.
But anyways, getting back to SpongeBob.
Yeah, the Scaredy Pants, that was the introduction of the Flying Dutchman.
Yeah.
And as we all know, the Flying Dutchman is the only one that mattered in that episode. And there was also I Was a Teenage Gary, which, of all episodes, I'm surprised that episode is considered one of the worst movie episodes because I actually liked it. I think it's underrated, actually.
I've seen very little of it.
Yeah, like if I had to make a list of underrated SpongeBob episodes that I like that others don't, I Was a Teenage Gary would probably be in the top 5. Like, a lot of people rip on that episode for being disturbing, but that's the whole point.
I mean, at least it's not as bad as what the show would do later on in episodes like the Splinter, or in episodes like the Splinter, or even House Fancy.
Yeah, like, and this episode actually does some good Squidward torture because you know, SpongeBob ended up tasking Squidward to take care of Gary, and because Squidward only used SpongeBob and Patrick going to a convention for the entire weekend as an advantage to loaf around.
Exactly, and a lot of people say that an episode like Pet Sitter Pat actually ripped off A Pal for Gary. I'd actually say that the episode that episode actually ripped off was I Was a Teenage Gary, because instead of Patrick babysitting Gary, it's basically Squidward. Although when it comes to that episode, they basically had Patrick knowingly torturing Gary throughout the episode.
Whereas Squidward at least tried to heal Gary, and when he found out that Squidward forgot the snail, which shows that he does care. Whereas
The
Patrick
Gary
in that
disrespect
episode,
is insane.
whereas Patrick made no attempt to care for Gary, and knowing a certain season 4 episode of Dumb, yeah, he tried to get his own cousin killed, which makes it worse.
Mm-hmm.
And then I Was a Teenage Gary, Squidward actually did get his comeuppance
by being turned into a snail himself.
Yeah,
Meow, 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 meow.
and also because he couldn't care less about the fact that he injected SpongeBob with plasma.
Like he basically shrugged it off by saying that SpongeBob will be just fine.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, like I don't really get why people hate I Was a Teenage Gary.
I mean, the pre-movie seasons have put out worse episodes.
Yeah, I actually would go as far as to say that I Was a Teenage Gary is underrated.
I mean, an episode that I'd actually say is worth the bashing is the episode where SpongeBob pushes Gary too far.
The Great Snail Race. The one thing I'll say I like about that episode is the title card. Like, if you hear it, it's the "Now That We're Men" song.
And I did like the ending where Sandy said that the part where Sandy said that she'd kick SpongeBob's butt, and then she does it at the end of the episode.
That's for
Yeah.
yesterday, SquarePants.
Yeah, and yeah. Not to mention, SpongeBob was really unlikable in that episode, almost to the point where Gary almost could have died. Although, at least unlike another episode in the series, SpongeBob at least cared about Gary when he was almost breaking it during the race.
Yeah.
I can't say the same thing about a pal for Gary.
Oh yeah. SpongeBob was not only stupid in that episode, but was apathetic.
Yeah, like this and Choir Boys were probably two of his worst appearances in the entire show.
Fuck you, SpongeBob.
Yeah. Some classic, and of course, since we talked about the Great Snail Race, so Midlife Crustacean. You know, the episode that Nickelodeon banned for a long time.
All because of the panty raid scene.
And yet
All
somehow
that
they
for
were
that
allowed
scene?
worse. That's an adult joke, but there are far worse episodes that were worth getting banned. I can even,
For instance, a one-course meal literally had a suicide joke.
yeah, and there's also Happy Now, which also had suicide. Are you feeling it now, Mr. Krabs?
Are
I'm
you feeling it?
Feeling it?
I'm feeling a warm spot. Sorry.
So let me get this straight, Nickelodeon. You banned that episode, but not Freaktorious?
And another SpongeBob episode that would have been banned is the Splinter.
Yes. And the scenes with the Splinter would have been extremely hard to cut out of the episode.
Yeah.
Right.
But yet they banned the moment in Just One Bite where Squidward was lit on fire.
Yeah, like I don't get like apparently it had something to do with 9/11, but even then that did not deserve to be cut out at all. That stuff was hilarious.
Hey, this isn't water. This is gas.
Yep, and that part still makes me laugh all the time. Seeing Squidward in pain and actually feel comical, instead of other episodes where Squidward does not deserve to be put in pain. And yeah, there's also Procrastination, which also had some deleted, which also had to be cut out certain parts of that episode.
Yeah. Although I don't know why they. I can see as to why that they decided to cut out the sequence with a car crashing or SpongeBob looking outside, but cutting out the sequence with SpongeBob exercising it takes away a lot of context because while watching the episode on TV, there's a lot missing.
Yeah. That's something I don't like about deleted scenes altogether. They actually prevent context because, SpongeBob exercises actually had a point in that episode. Let's see. Some other classic episodes. That was the last one before the movie, Prank-A-Lot. Yeah, apparently they nearly ended the pre-movie seasons with SpongeBob and Patrick being humiliated while they're naked.
Wow. Why did they do that? That's not an ode to good storytelling.
Personally speaking, they honestly should have just ended the series with that part of that special wall. Yes, it was a mixed bag, but the ending had Apache saying that SpongeBob will live in our hearts forever.
Yeah, it almost a series finale. In fact, both SpongeBob Can Fly, the movie, and even Big Birthday Blowout could have been sensible finales for this show. But Nickelodeon is Nickelodeon, so we got more seasons.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, the camping episode. See, the song.
Yeah, I remember that camping episode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That episode is much better than Camp Coral.
exactly.
But
Yeah,
it was a
and
Squidward torture porn episode.
except it was a Squidward torture episode that worked. Like
Yeah.
Squidward was knowingly trying to get a sea bear to maul him, all because he believed that they weren't
The
real.
sea bear takes control of Squidward and begins attacking.
I don't even know about its existence. Yeah, CMP Fire Engine song, and let's see some good Squidward torture episodes in the pre-movie season.
Oh, there was Idiot Box.
Oh yeah, that episode. Yeah, that was a real classic.
Yeah, Squidward was Squidward was basically was knowingly deciding to make fun of SpongeBob and Patrick for playing in a box, and therefore he ended up having delusions that SpongeBob and Patrick were actually seeing the real things.
Yeah, that one was a classic. Let's see another Squidward torture episode in the pre-movie seasons that worked. I think there was also Squidville, which I don't know if that one could qualify as one. Definitely a good Squidward episode.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, that episode is paired up with Grandma's Kisses.
Yeah, Grandma's Kisses is one of the more upsetting episodes of the show.
Yeah, like SpongeBob gets made fun of all because he got a kiss from his grandma. Why is everyone in Bikini Bottom even making fun of him for that?
SpongeBob and Patrick in the show have done far more humiliating things and got off more scot-free than that. There's nothing wrong with getting a kiss from your grandma.
These are the same two that fought over a toy.
Yeah. You want to see a better episode about the Bikini Bottomites being jerks? Squirrel Jokes is a better episode regarding that. Because they were all just saying the same stuff, make fun of Cindy, all because of the stupid jokes SpongeBob made.
What? Howdy, y'all!
Yeah, and that episode showcased Sandy at one of her best as a character because she was actually able to actually make sure that SpongeBob actually learned the lesson by enforcing the stereotypes SpongeBob made at her expense.
Mm-hmm.
Another pre-movie episode that I really don't like is Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 4, as well as Sandy's Rocket. Like, I never liked Sandy's Rocket at all, to be quite honest. Like, it's that season 6 episode Shuffleboarding?
Yeah.
I remember Shuffleboarding.
Yeah, that was basically Sandy's Rocket. The only thing that you could say is that at least SpongeBob kind of got punished in that episode. But otherwise, yeah, I never really understood the appeal of that episode. Oh, yeah, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episodes. Remember those guys?
Yeah, like during all of their appearances, the only one from memory that I can say that I don't like was was the one in season 8, because barely anything really happened in that episode. All it was Plankton and Man Ray basically invading the Krusty Krab, and they don't really do anything. All Man Ray does throughout the episode is buy Krabby Patties and eat them to the point where he becomes fat.
What are your
Yeah,
thoughts
like-
on the?
And of course, yeah, like seriously, the Plankton and Man Ray are villains. That alone could have served some great chemistry with each other. It should have been a special, actually. It should have been a special.
I mean, season 7 had a Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy special, Back to the Past.
Hello, Rex. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We're currently talking about SpongeBob and some of the classic episodes right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
I just got finished watching Blood of Zeus, this final season, and it was awesome.
Yeah. So Rex, how did you get introduced to SpongeBob?
Oh man, it's been so long. Anyway, I saw it playing on. I saw a few more episodes. Then I started watching it religiously, and that's how I got into it.
Yeah. If you were, let's see, what other pre-movie episodes you can think of that come to mind?
Pre-movie episode. Well, there are a lot of. That's a hard question, but if I was to say, probably my favorite an episode that I like, I really want to revisit it and maybe do a video on it. It's Squirrel Jokes.
Oh yeah, we brought that up actually, but you're gonna have to give your perspective on that.
The reason I like that episode is because it's become a commentary on comedy. Like I might do a video on it, but after SpongeBob started making these jokes, people started treating Sandy differently, and it could be a commentary on it reminded me of this quote that George Carlin said, when he called out fellow comedian Andrew Dice Clay, saying that it was not really funny punching down on women and minorities. And it reminded me of that. That could be a commentary on that. On comedy and punching up instead of punching down. And that's an episode that I've grown to appreciate. Ooh. Other classic episodes that I like are, let's see. Of course, there's Band Geeks. I mean, that's a fan favorite. Yeah. There's Chocolate with Nuts. Let's see.
Chocolate!
Yeah.
Chocolate.
Another one that I really like is Krusty Love.
Oh yeah, the episode where Mr. Krabs. Oh yeah, Mr. Krabs and Mrs. Puff together. Yeah,
yeah. I really do like that the recent seasons have brought this back.
Yeah, I agree. Too bad, although at the same time, they also made that horrible season 7 episode Summer Job look even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. That episode was horrible. It was basically boating buddies with Mrs. Puff.
Yeah. And Mr. Krabs blackmails his girlfriend, Mrs. Puff.
I understand SpongeBob hasn't had the strongest continuity, but come on. Oh, I was looking up an episode I like is Sailor Mouth, which even referenced the aforementioned George Carlin.
And speaking of the of Sandy episodes, I do think I really like the dynamic between SpongeBob and Sandy in the show.
Yeah. Not to the point where we shipped them, but we actually like their dynamic quite a bit.
I prefer to see them as friends because Stephen
I agree.
saying them that SpongeBob was asexual,
and that's honestly for the best.
Mm-hmm.
The only time ever fell in love with a fucking Krabby Patty.
Oh,
That was a disgusting. That was disgusting. Even as a kid, I thought that the close up of the Krabby Patty was awful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ugh, that was
not even
just gross.
scavengers would want to eat that.
Yeah. And of course, another
And
pre-movie
also, how dare you, SpongeBob? How could you rip apart Junior?
yeah,
Right.
Rockabye
What the
Valve.
heck?
Yeah, like they ripped apart Junior from Rockabye Valve. You know, apparently got some controversy on the implications of SpongeBob and Patrick being quote unquote gay.
Right.
Yeah. And another episode in the pre-movie series got ripped off to a horrible episode was freaking Fools in April.
Fools in April.
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah,
episode.
Yeah,
What
basically
episode?
Squidward pranks SpongeBob after SpongeBob, being annoying with his pranks, and the whole
Right.
episode was basically watching Squidward try to apologize and fail.
Yeah, and that episode, and strangely enough, that's also another episode that doesn't really air that much.
Right.
Probably because
I'm
of
looking
April.
through because I'm remembering that stuff. On the topic of episodes that don't air that much, this one didn't air much because this was back in season 1, and it would be the sister episode for the Valentine's Day special, The Paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a classic.
Again, the only way you're able to even watch this episode is either using a streaming service like Paramount Plus, find it on iTunes or on demand, or basically just find it in physical media, which whether it's the season 1 DVD or really it's kind of hard to find that episode at all.
And of course, there's the other method. The way of the 7 C's.
Yeah. I'm Blind Beer the Pirate.
Yeah, that's
Ooh.
another good episode, Arg. Which also I like the sister episode with that episode, Rock Bottom, because different visuals, and it allowed the production crew to be experimental, experiment with dark imagery. I mean, there's still that stuff, but I mean, it was cool.
So, do we have any more pre-movie episodes we can bring up so we can move on to the modern season?
Not all that much that I can really think of, but I do like pre-hibernation week as well. There's also the episode where SpongeBob and Patrick basically goof around in Sandy's tree dome, which is basically covered in snow for 11 minutes.
Oh, Survival of the Idiots.
Yeah.
That one was
All
funny.
right, Pinhead, your time is up. Who you
Who you
calling?
calling Pinhead?
That face that Patrick makes cracks me up every time.
Yeah. And also, SpongeBob and Patrick deserved the fate they got because they were told not to enter Sandy's tree dome. They chose to enter Sandy's tree dome, as well as bother her while she's sleeping.
And also basically tear off all her fur.
Right.
Which, yeah.
Also, that leads to something else unfortunate. My least favorite pre-movie SpongeBob episode, because it's the sister episode, Dumped. The one where Gary abandoned SpongeBob for Patrick, all because of a fucking cookie.
Exactly. It's a good thing that season 4 made a much better episode with Gary basically abandoning SpongeBob, but it's for a better reason because Gary felt that he was being neglected because he was extremely hungry.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And SpongeBob learned his mistakes.
Yeah. And also regarding Sandy's Survival of the Idiots, how is it that in that episode we were able to see SpongeBob and Patrick ripped Sandy's fur, and then in a later episode, we learned that apparently her fur is just removable.
Oh, that episode, someone in the kitchen with Sandy. Not to mention there was that remark with that Plankton made that was just cringe.
Yeah.
As positive as a shark attack. That's probably offensive to sharks.
Yeah. And also, another oh yeah, Doodle Bob.
Yeah, look at him. He's look at him with those two teeth and that stupid tie.
Yeah, and it also got a sequel episode in season 11.
Right.
Yeah, I love that episode.
Yeah. All right.
So yeah.
So shall we move on to after movie?
Yeah. Well, this is the point where let's talk about seasons 4 and 5, because for those who don't know, some people tend to debate on whether or not the show declined with season 4, or if the show was still good in those 2 seasons, and even so, it gets lumped in with season 6 to 8, which I don't think is really fair.
Yeah,
honestly, I'd argue that seasons 4 and 5 were when the show still had dignity.
Yeah. I mean, sure, there were some duds, but I mean, there were duds in the pre-movie era. But I mean, I'd be lying to say I didn't enjoy most of season 4. Like, season 4 gave us one of the best memes. What are those Neanderthals up to? Don't they know I'm busy spoiling myself?
And besides, seasons 4 and 5 were the same seasons that gave us classics like Krusty Towers as well as Roller Cowards.
Right.
Yeah. And because oh, by the way,
season 4.
Wait a minute.
A lot of episodes
by the way,
actually...
Okay, let me do. All right. By the way, this is also the 20th anniversary of season 4.
Crazy how much time passes.
Like the first episode that they put out was actually storyboarded by C.H. Greenblatt, which is why the episode looks so good.
Yeah.
Fear of a Krabby Patty?
That episode was funny. And it has one of the most underrated jokes in the series. Like when SpongeBob was seeing Krabby Patties and then he was just screaming at this one guy. Ah! I told you that shirt was hideous.
Yeah.
Oh, there's also the piano gag.
Wait, where'd you get the piano? Oh!
Yeah. Fear of a Krabby Patty was a great way to start off season 4. Like, I don't think it's fair to put season 4 and 5 as part of the dark age or modern episodes, to be exact, because seasons 4 and 5 can actually have episodes that can be just as good as the pre-movie episodes.
Plus, they actually had ideas for these episodes back during production, and they wrote the scripts. And
season 4, for example, had episodes like Dungeons and Dragons, Krusty Towers, as well as Shelve a Man, and even the aforementioned Have You Seen the Snail? And season 5 had episodes like Friend or Foe, the Krusty Sponge, Crabs a la Mode, Roller Cowards, etc.
Yeah. And I think another iconic season 4 episode was one that actually got hated on back in the day, was Karate Island.
Yeah, but I'm glad to see it gain appreciation, because I thought for the most part it was enjoyable. I mean, sure, it was enjoyable.
Apparently, people seem to hate that episode, not for the episode itself, but more for how the way Nickelodeon was treating at the time. You remember that infamous Best Day Ever marathon?
Right.
Yeah, they actually put the episode. They put the episode as number 1 as the best SpongeBob episode, when there are several other episodes that they could have chosen. Like, I'd prefer if they put Band Geeks as the number 1.
Right.
But no, pretty much the majority of the episodes in that top 10 were all from 4.
Right. Oh, something else that's actually I enjoy about Karate Island. It was one of Pat Morita's last roles. He voiced.
Yeah.
So I mean, hey,
He
you
rest
can't
in
complain
peace.
about that. And I thought it was nice how, like, when the episode was airing, it had a tribute to him.
And one other thing to appreciate about season 4 is that it was also one another one of the seasons that basically went off the storyboards and not tried to be all that and didn't go all safe like what season 6 through 8 did.
Right.
Yeah. Season 4 is definitely one of my favorite seasons in terms of animation.
Yeah. And another episode I like in season 4, Wishing You Well. The one where Mr. Krabs
Yeah.
opens up wishing well, and like the claustrophobic joke. Could you not say
that
that?
joke was great.
You're making me claustrophobic.
Yeah.
What does claustrophobic mean? It means he's afraid of Santa Claus. No, it doesn't. Ho ho ho! Patrick,
I have told you I am claustrophobic.
nice try.
Nice try, Squidward. There's no Santa Claus here.
Oh, and also this other part. Hey, you got your elbow in my ribs. Oh, what? Oh, it was actually a plate of ribs. And
Oh, and also, Mr. Krabs also got what he deserved in the end of that
Mhm.
episode.
yeah.
Because he literally decided to make SpongeBob stay the night in a wishing well.
And because
Yeah.
SpongeBob believed in magic, and because Mr. Krabs thought that whole thing was a scam, and even though SpongeBob told Mr. Krabs to not wish for the fact that it was about to be served bird boiled with butter.
Right.
Exactly.
And of course, he died.
Well,
Well, he came back recently, but who knows? Remember, one eternity later.
Krusty Towers is an absolute classic as well.
Yeah, I heard people point out that it felt like it didn't feel like a SpongeBob episode, but that in a good way, it felt more like a sitcom episode.
Yep.
Yeah.
My
One
favorite
is
joke was
that's
it looked
another
like they
episode
were-
where Mr. Krabs gets what he deserves.
Yep.
We shall
Another
never deny
episode-
against even the most ridiculous request.
And of course, Squidward decides to turn the tables on Krabs and use that motto against him because of how
Right.
Squidward was during the hotel. Rocks.
Right. My favorite joke was this, like when it looked like they were kidnapping Squidward's mother, but then it was just this reveal that they were shoving laundry in the trunk.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, there's also the one where Squidward ordered a Krabby Patty with toenails and nose hair, and basically tricks Mr. Krabs into eating it.
Sorry, Mr. Krabs, we were all out of cheese. Cut away to Patrick. Hooray!
Yeah. Another good and let's talk about the Squidward torture in season 4. What the?
And it is this is the season where it did start popping up. Two of the worst ones that come to mind are Squidward and Good Neighbors.
Don't forget the Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
he made that Squidward torture started. What was that episode? Jellyfishing in season 1, but this could really get.
yeah. But at the same time, we also got some good Squidward torture episodes like The Last Mattress and Skill Crane.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
those worked because, like, the reason the Lost Mattress worked was because Squidward was trying to leech, like, he got rid of Mr. Krabs' mattress, and, Karma was catching up to him. And actually, side note, Lost Mattress provides a good commentary on health insurance.
Yeah. Not to mention, Squidward clearly just wanted to use SpongeBob and Patrick's heroics just so he can take all the credit.
Right.
And look what happened.
And Squidward also tried to get SpongeBob and Patrick mauled by the worm multiple times, but they ended up turning the tables on him.
Yeah, which
Yeah,
made
and instead,
every time the word.
instead it ends
got
with
him.
Squidward getting bit. It ends with Squidward literally getting bit in the ass, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that time when he had the wooden spoon in the back pocket. And of course,
Yeah, and let's and with Skill Crane, how did that episode get Squidward torture right?
because Squidward was feeding an addiction. Like, and not
Yeah,
the
still
good kind of addiction.
like claw machines are rigged.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that's why I
and
never
of course,
really
when
tried to do
finally
them.
won, he was being an ass about it. Like, he literally
Yeah, like
made fun of a kid for losing.
yeah, that part never stopped. That clip still lives rent free on my. You didn't win the prize.
Yeah. And
That
him just
means
keeping
you
the-
are an absolute loser. Ha! I'm the winner. See my prize. You're a loser who Sansing cries. And then the kid ends up hitting Squidward in the leg.
Mhm.
Yeah, is it wrong to say that I actually like to use that taunt at people?
And of course, the end when he ended up destroying half Bikini Bottom. Oh,
Yeah,
another
but
episode
of
that
course,
actually. Let me
and
see.
of course, let's see another Squidward torture. Was there any? Let's talk about the other Squidward torture episodes in season 4, which means the
I'd
bad
say-
one.
If I was to
Oh,
say the
yeah.
worst of the two, it would be the Thing, because it was just Squidward trapped in cement.
Yeah, and there's also there's of course Good Neighbors, which basically where all Squidward wanted to do was relax on Sunday before he'd go back to work, and it literally and all of his attempts were basically ended with him having to do community service on Bikini Bottom for the rest of his life on Sunday.
Wait a minute.
The only thing,
The Good
the only thing-
Neighbors?
the only thing about good that stands out about Good Neighbors was the meme it spawned.
Yeah.
What meme?
The security system takes control of Squidward's house and begins attacking the city.
Leaving
Yeah.
the mayor to give Squidward community service for the damage he caused, even though SpongeBob and Patrick were in his house the whole fucking time and were responsible for everything.
Right.
God, fuck this episode.
This episode
And
is
yeah,
when the Squidward
Oh
torture
yeah,
porn started.
thank you, Shadow Gamer, for bringing this one up. There's another season 4 episode that's not a Squidward torture episode, but it was also a pretty bad episode in season 4, if not one of the worst.
Yeah.
All that
That Twitter.
It's
The only
literally
good part was the intro with the Monster Krabby Patty joke. Like,
yeah.
that was the only good part.
Monster Krabby Patty?
Monster
Yeah.
Krabby Patty? Where even someone in the
Krabby
restroom
Patty?
heard from
Monster Krabby Patty?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
unfortunately, it all goes downhill because once SpongeBob breaks the spatula, we see a 1-minute scene of SpongeBob crying.
Yeah, that's
For half
that's all
the
this episode. That's all that this episode really is. SpongeBob crying for 11 minutes.
Yeah, and yet,
Roll up,
and
SpongeBob.
and
Funny
not
Pants
to
is,
mention, not to mention, the episode was also mean spirited towards SpongeBob because
Mhm.
because SpongeBob tries to get a new spatula. Unfortunately, he had to sell everything, including his fucking clothes.
yeah. Funny Pants is also another really bad one.
I mean, I have it's a son, so I mean, at least it tries to be funny, unlike something like that episode where Squidward was trying to do the bet without making him cry or whatever. But, I can understand the spin-offs.
Funny Pants is an alright episode, but yeah, that episode can get pretty fucking annoying.
Right.
But back to all that glitters. Les Spatula is one of the worst characters in the series.
Like he's a spatula. He's supposed to get dirty.
Right.
But of course, that spatula decides to be a rude jerk and decides to verbally attack SpongeBob and runs away laughing.
Right.
Why
Not
does
to
that
mention-
spatula gotta be a jerk?
Not to mention the French stereotyping. And of course, because Pat thinks that SpongeBob betrayed him, we're subjected to another minute of SpongeBob crying.
All the glitters is not gold.
And it's not like
Yeah.
him, like, crying that actually, like, made more sense.
Like that part and another thing that's really confusing about the episode is that part where SpongeBob suddenly appears and said, "Oh, that glitters is not gold." Like, what's the joke?
Is
Yeah,
that
What
like
yeah.
is the joke?
a
Please
Big Lips
explain to
alligator
me.
moment?
But of course, that episode was just awful, especially for season 4.
At least it gave us all the glitters, which we already talked about.
Yeah, let's see. There's
Oh,
also There's also the last episode of season 4 being the gift of gum. That episode was just
episode-
kind of gross.
Yeah. That episode was gross.
Oh, I know 2 episodes I like in season 4. Ghost Toast. Where, like, it actually used disturbing imagery, right? Like, it was like for comedic effect and it had a lot of good jokes.
Yeah.
One of the best ones.
I especially like the part where SpongeBob gets so bored of the Flying Dutchman trying to scare him to the point where he basically looks doesn't even look surprised anymore. Like that's literally SpongeBob seeing something so many times to the point where he just gets bored of it.
That's modern
Yeah.
Nickelodeon in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And also, my favorite joke was when the Dutchman tried to scare that guy that was sleeping, but then, like, he didn't thought it worked, and then when the guy woke up, he's just all, ah! And of course, the best joke when he was scaring Squidward, which, with the best part that being this, ooh, scary.
No, you cannot do
it's
that.
Not impossible.
You cannot do something like that.
Yeah,
Face
let's-
reveal.
another season 4 episode that comes to mind, which doesn't fall into either good or bad, is best day ever. Yeah, which
I mean,
the way Nickelodeon hyped this episode was unbelievable.
Right.
I mean, at least the episode actually has things happening, unlike a certain season 9 episode, because things actually happen in this episode. Like SpongeBob is wanting to have the best day ever, but he keeps on getting busy. But he ended up making the best day ever by helping people.
Right.
Yeah,
SpongeBob is
and of course,
good.
that episode is well known for the song, which was actually from the movie. Actually,
Right.
It's
One
the
episode I really
best
liked
day
from-
ever.
Best day ever. Another episode I really like was Patrick Smart Pants, when Patrick, got brain coral and he became smart. But like
Yeah.
what I liked about it was like, when he actually realized like, he gave up his intelligence for SpongeBob, which I thought that's one of my favorite Patrick moments. It's a shame that we'd later see how insufferable we'd later see him become.
And
Yeah.
honestly, an episode in season 6 that actually reminds me of this one is Not Normal, which is actually one of the very few gems from season 6.
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
a hidden gem?
and also the sister episode, SquarePants Tentacle Pants.
Yeah.
Oh
This
no,
episode is an
not
episode I
that
have
one.
mixed feelings of. Well, it has some disturbing imagery. It has a few good jokes, like that exchange with SpongeBob and Squidward. Don't you have to be such an accommodating buffoon? Squidward, everyone knows I'm a sponge. I don't.
And
It
of
all
course-
started when I was born.
Yeah.
Oh,
Look at those. Oh yeah.
Thinking about other jokes from the episode is kind of difficult.
I mean, I thought like the joke, like I thought like it did a decent job at like showing them like try to adapt to their lives. Like it could have, but like with them connected. But like, I can understand why people dislike it, but I can't say I hate it. It's an episode.
Honestly, this episode reminded me, sort of reminded me of, say, Cat Dog.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
like, yeah,
I've never seen it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the director of The Substance was inspired by this episode.
Well, Robert Pattinson got inspiration from Ren and Stimpy for Mickey 17.
Wait,
so I wouldn't be
what?
surprised.
Yeah.
All right.
Robert
we move on to
Pattinson and Ren and
season 5.
Stimpy
Do we have
when?
any more season 4 dumpings we have to talk about?
Season 5.
The season that where how Pie Guy Rule summed up season 4 as a continuation of the first 3 seasons? Season 5 was definitely the more experimental season.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it started off pretty strong with Friend or Foe, where we actually got a look into Mr. Krabs and Plankton's backstory, and like it was actually interesting, like seeing their like dynamics, and actually like Mr. Krabs beyond like just being obsessed with money.
Yeah, and by the way, Camp Coral, this is how Mr. Krabs and Plankton met.
Yeah, that was a fantastic episode. Definitely my favorite episode in season 5.
There's also classics like Roller Cowards and Krabs a la mode.
Yeah.
And another classic episode that I always enjoy coming back to is Spy Buddies.
Spy Buddies.
Oh right, yeah, that ending was funny.
What about the episode where Mr. Krabs sells SpongeBob's soul for 62 cents?
That's season 3. That's season 3.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. Season 5 was definitely a sign where, even though they were still keeping the charm of the first 3, you could tell that they were experimenting quite a bit.
Right.
Yeah,
For example,
like there were definitely bad episodes in this season, but a lot of people lump this episode in with season 6, which I think is pretty unfair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like season 5, at least it was experimental. Like those that they tried to make some short episodes where an episode had an 11-minute episode and 2 episodes that were like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
right.
I'm actually surprised that they didn't do this kind of format more. I know that they still do short episodes when it comes to specials that are 15 minutes, but I'm surprised that they didn't do this more.
Yeah, I like this format quite a bit, but at the same time, the quality kind of varied. Like there were some good ones, like the Donut of Shame.
Yeah, where we actually saw Patrick, actually show have a conscience.
Yeah, he actually felt remorse for the fact that that he ate what he thought was SpongeBob's donut. Wish I could say the same for a certain season 7 episode where he's basically apathetic towards SpongeBob wanting a toy.
Yeah, which it's infuriating. Like when you see Patrick still have some stuff. Like I'd say sometime around seasons, I believe it was. I'm looking around. I'd make the case that it was season 7 where he officially faced flanderization.
And and when it comes to this season, I'd still say that this season still has the charm of the first 3. This season even gave us a pretty good Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episode.
Oh yeah, right. Mermaid Man versus SpongeBob.
Right.
Yeah, and let's get back to some of the shorts the other good one was the Krusty Plate.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, it reminded me of like, classic Tom and Jerry and stuff like that. Getting the plate removed in the ending. Huh. Strange vortex in the west. Oh well, probably has nothing to do with SpongeBob.
Yeah, but of
Yeah.
course, there's also Picture Day.
Oh.
Yeah.
SpongeBob torture episode.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna use the restroom real quick. Go on. Carry on.
All right, let's see. Another season 5 short that was good. I actually feel people tend to hate on was Rise and Shine. Like, a lot of people seem to hate it just for the fact that it has an alarm clock in it. It doesn't even play throughout the whole episode as much as people thought it does. But of course, there were some bad ones. One that comes to mind. I think you take a guess.
Waiting.
Yeah, the worst season 5 short. Like,
all it is SpongeBob waiting in front of a mailbox.
Yeah.
And then when he gets the toy, what happens?
And SpongeBob ends up rejecting everyone. Like, this might as well be one of the earliest examples of flanderization at that point. Another one.
This isn't the only time in season 5 where SpongeBob is at one of his worst moments.
Yeah, and of course, let's see. There was also Pat No Pay.
Oh, that was one of the first times that Patrick was it was incredibly jerky.
Yeah, like seriously though, he just throws Mr. Krabs' money into the garbage, and the whole Krusty Krab, and he downplays the whole thing by saying, "Can I eat now?"
Exactly.
Patrick, how can you be able to eat when there's no restaurant? I'm honestly surprised. I'm surprised that he's even allowed back at the Krusty Krab after this episode.
Well, they haven't banned me.
And let's see, another season 5. This one's actually pretty divisive, and that's Boat Smarts. A lot of people call it,
like that episode comes across as if it's trying to make an instructional video, but they decided to throw in Squidward torture aspects.
Yeah, but at the
Leave
same
the
time,
poor guy alone.
If you look at the Squidward torture differently, you know that in that episode, you can tell that because SpongeBob is not a good driver. You can also see that the consequences of what he's doing actually affected the other drivers.
Yeah. Exactly.
Although that one line at the end where SpongeBob says, "Looks like you forgot your boat smarts," I wouldn't blame anyone if anyone got ticked off.
I mean, at least this episode is only like 6 or 7 minutes long, as opposed to a certain episode in season 13 called Yellow Pavement. That episode is literally just boat smarts all over again. If it was 11 minutes long.
Yeah. Plus, boat smarts is kind of a mixed bag of episode that I do enjoy. Girl, what's his name? Nothing much in that episode, really.
Yeah. That customer was kind of rude, in all honesty.
Yeah. Although Squidward did deserve to go to jail because he stole a guy's wallet.
Exactly. Although I do think that he should have just said, "Oh, hey, my name is What's It to You?" Instead of rudely screaming, "What's it to you?" As if Squidward is going to catch on to that immediately.
What's it to ya?
And let's see how season 5 was also experimental. Oh yeah, the TV movie.
Yeah.
Like Atlantis SquarePants.
One of the earliest signs that the SpongeBob was starting to go downhill.
Yeah, this was aside from Best Day Ever, this might as well have been the start of the ratings traps.
Oh no, not the ratings traps.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah, they basically instead of actually doing something cool, they basically decided to rip off Willy Wonka.
Also, I remember something from that
And-
episode
and-
that scared me. I
and
don't know
also,
what it
how
was.
dare this episode waste David Bowie?
How dare you?
You have David Bowie, and apparently, this episode is meant to be a musical, which I'd like to remind you. You want to know something about Atlanta SquarePants in the promotional material? They never
What?
once advertised. They never advertised Atlanta SquarePants as a musical, but also happily in the commercials, they were allowed to spoil the finale, the ending.
Yeah. And also it's obvious that the characters are not able to sing at all.
I mean,
Which is
Tom
weird
Kenny
because-
can sing a SpongeBob, but come on, give him
Yeah,
better
we've
material.
seen. Yeah, like the songs in that episode were so freaking forgettable.
Yeah, which is honestly kind of a shame because SpongeBob is very well known for how good its musical numbers are. Like they're not as plentiful as say Phineas and Ferb, but they did happen from time to time.
Mhm.
Yeah, like seriously though, like the ones that stuck out was Sandy's song, but that was mostly because of visuals, because it was a huge reference to 80s video games.
Right.
Yeah.
Yup.
And I will say one other redeeming thing. I mean, I know I didn't get a chance to say, but I mean, I'm gonna take the good things when I can. David Bowie guest starring, and even though he could have been better, but still, hey, that's the way. Yeah, rest in peace. David Bowie.
And Atlantis itself does look pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I will admit, Atlanta SquarePants is a pretty overhated episode, but yeah, the episode was a pretty big letdown. Although
Right.
it's not as bad as another TV movie SpongeBob pulled, which I
Yeah.
thought was
Truth or
worse.
Square?
Yes.
Whatever
Like,
happened to
Like
SpongeBob?
which one is worse, Atlanta SquarePants or Truth or Square?
Truth or Square, Truth or Square, because Truth or Square, in the advertisements, they were hyping the special up out like crazy, to the point where they even promised that they'd basically tell you the secret the Krabby Patty formula, as well as teasing SpongeBob and Sandy getting married.
Lies.
And
All lies.
yeah, only for Nickelodeon to lie to you in their faces. Not to mention
course, they have
that
a history
special
of
starred
lying.
so. Not to mention that special starred so much freaking Patchy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Look,
I
I
remember.
like the patchy segments as much in the next Sky, but this was just too much.
And whenever
exactly.
I try to
like
rewatch it, they cut
Dinosaur
out half the stuff.
101 will kill you, Razor Rex.
yeah,
Yuri, get out of here. Yuri,
Dino-
get the fuck out of here.
I don't think that's him. I think that's some other guy. I think he was just joking or something. Whatever. I'm not. Okay, but
So, getting back on track. When it comes to some of the specials that were in season 5, I'm surprised that that some of them didn't have any Patchy segments. Like, they could have given a Patchy segment to Pests of the West or
yeah,
whatever.
like with him in a cowboy setting. And a
Yeah,
Western
aside from
setting.
Friend or Foe, they relegated him to just it's a SpongeBob special,
An all
which was
new
actually done in
original
season
movie.
4 as well.
Yep.
Ahoy! It's a SpongeBob special, and the TV starts playing.
Exactly.
Which, of course, speaking of the bad in season 5, oh boy, some of the ones in season 5 are actually worse than some of the ones in season 4.
Exactly. Like there was the episode Fungus Among Us, which was one of the first instances of the show getting very gross.
I mean, you could argue that was
Yup,
back with the
I
gift of
remember
gum.
that episode.
Right.
And that episode was also cruel towards SpongeBob.
Yeah, the most that SpongeBob really didn't at the beginning was tell Gary not to eat this ick that was on the ground.
He tried to warn us.
And yet somehow that episode was more relevant now than it was when it aired.
Right.
I guess so.
Yeah.
We are taking care of your pet.
There was also the episode To Love a Patty, which we also went over, but there was Breath of Fresh Squidward, which was one of SpongeBob's worst appearances.
Oh god, that episode was awful. Like, seriously though, this episode just confirmed that the universe hates Squidward. Like, apparently it's okay when SpongeBob is being annoying, but when Squidward does it, nope. The world can't let him be happy.
Let Squidward be happy for 1 minute.
Like, that episode just confirmed that the world hates Squidward.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. And another bad season 5 episode, which along with Fungus Among Us, was a flea in her dome. Probably one of the rare Sandy torture episodes in the entire series, up of only like 3.
And don't even get me started on that long segment of Patrick complaining about pain, just repeating, and pain. All you brought is pain and itching and
also flea. We also see a flea giving birth in Sandy's scalp.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And of course, if it's not enough to gross you out, we see that flea go in Sandy's eye.
Oh god!
And don't even get me started on that cringy part when Patrick did connect the dots with all the bite marks.
That part was so unfunny.
Yeah.
Seriously though, yeah, that was one of those episodes I never liked as a kid.
Yeah.
Let's see. Another bad season 5 episode that comes to mind was one of the specials, Whatever Happened to SpongeBob, or as I like to call it, the episode that started the downfall of the series.
Yeah.
Well, everyone calls Good Neighbors, where SpongeBob started to go downhill. To me, that was Whatever Happened. That was Who Bob What Pants that did it for me.
Right.
And like what's weird about that episode is that it actually aired sometime in season 6.
Yeah.
Oh boy, that episode was horrible. That episode was just mean-spirited towards SpongeBob. Like that episode was beyond mean-spirited.
And Squidward, yeah.
Like
also,
Squidward said that he wishes that he could slam the door in SpongeBob's face, which is strange because in earlier seasons Squidward shows that he cares about SpongeBob.
Right.
Yeah.
Not to mention Patrick and Sandy in that episode in the beginning were horrible. Like, all I did was call him Idiot Boy. Seriously though.
Sandy would have known that SpongeBob didn't intentionally try and damage the robot.
Yeah, right. And also, that was one of the worst moments for her character. But and then there's also Patrick, in Patrick's case, why would you leave that cake outside? SpongeBob just accidentally bumped into you.
Yeah, and speaking of Sandy, she also rarely has any moments where she's really out of character. Like one moment that comes to mind that where she was at one of her worst moments was in Squirrel Jelly.
Oh yeah. And there was the only other episode besides Squirrel Jelly I can think of with her being out of character were episodes like Rodeo Days and Kenny the Cat.
And also, one of Patrick's worst moments was in the episode called "Stuck in the Ringer."
Oh,
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that
we're
one when we
still
get to season when we talk about the dark era of SpongeBob.
Yeah, we're still in season
We're still-
5.
Yeah.
Mhm.
In season 5's case, there was also Spongehenge.
This was the point where Pygay Rules said that it made him open up his eyes to how bad that the show has gotten. Like the episode in all honesty is pretty terrifying.
Yeah, especially
And
with
not
the
in a
ending.
good way. And
Yeah,
not in a
like,
good way.
Yeah, not at all. Definitely the second worst episode of season 5, only channeled by whatever happened to SpongeBob. Yeah. Season 5 was definitely a notable mixed bag. Like, when it got good, it got really good. I'll say that much. But when the episodes were bad, they were really bad.
I mean,
For me, the series
and
officially
and
went
like
down in
and
season 6.
yeah, and I will say this about season 5. Unlike the seasons that came after it, season 5 was the season where they did still keep the charm, as well as have the animation be the way that it's been since season 4.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we have to talk. Unfortunately, the silver era is done, and we have to move on to. Oh, God, the dark era. Season 6 through 8.
Season 6. While yes, season 6 did still have good episodes like any other season of the show, it was also the dark where the dark age of the show started.
Yeah, I could go on some of the terrible episodes in season 6. Like, season 6 was the season of Squidward torture.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Like, if season 7 was season 7 was the season of Patrick being unlikable.
Yeah,
especially in Stuck in the Ringer.
Right.
Yeah,
We got
we're on
episodes
season
like
6 right now.
House Fancy.
Yeah.
House Fancy is an episode I have mixed feelings about. On one hand, I like the visuals and like the animations with that.
There was also, I believe, Demolition Doofus.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
the season
was at her worst.
Like season 6 did start out on a good note. The first episode that was aired in from season 6 was actually Krabby Road, and the second episode aired after that was Not Normal. Those two were pretty good episodes, but but the season in general started getting bad, like really bad.
Like, I could count the number of Squidward torture. Like, do I need to name pretty much a good amount of Squidward torture episodes in season 6? Fire Boys? That was actually a good episode. And Squidward actually got a victory.
Yeah, sorry, I was thinking some other episode.
I'm trying to make sure I remember all the bad Squidward torture episodes in season 6. We had Choir Boys, we had Cephalopod Lodge, we had Squid's Visit, we had Boating Buddies. Yeah, those 4 come to mind when it comes to bad Squidward torture episodes in season 6.
There was also Pineapple Fever.
Oh yeah,
that episode. And the sad thing it actually worked on paper. It doesn't sound bad.
And if I could, if I could say something, and if I could also say something about season 6, I really don't like what they did with SpongeBob.
I'm gonna go ahead and head out. I have work tomorrow.
All right. See ya.
All right. See ya. I really don't like what they did with SpongeBob and Patrick's models in this season. Apparently, some episodes were storyboarded by Aaron Springer, and they decided to neuter his storyboards to the max.
Right.
Like, yeah, and that's how you notice a stiffer animation in these seasons. as opposed to the first three, and to an extent 4 and 5, actually having a balance between normal animation and exaggerated animation. Whereas the later seasons, after season 9, we're all focused on over exaggeration.
I mean, at least they tried. Unlike season 6 through 8, which all they do, all these seasons do is that at most they'd have a very gross, they'd have very gross moments where you actually see this the inside of the skins of characters. Like there's literally a moment in Plankton's Regular where you actually see SpongeBob's skin and bones when he basically gets his face cut off by the Chum Bucket's door.
Yeah, and also season 6 with Squidward torture episodes in season 6. We had Choir Boys. We had Cephalopod Lodge, which in Choir Boys is probably the worst one, actually.
Right.
That
Oh, right.
was
I was thinking of Cephalopod Lodge. For some reason, I got Cephalopod Lodge.
Yeah, Choir Boys was probably the worst Squidward torture episode, as that episode was both annoying and boring.
Yeah, I can basically sum up the entirety of the episode in one word. An episode of Family Guy.
Yeah, not to mention SpongeBob deliberately was trying to torture Squidward.
Yeah, the episode is filled with overly long gags like Squidward clearing out his throat.
Yeah. And there's also Squid Visit, which was flat out disturbing.
Yeah, like
psychologically disturbing.
Like
this isn't really up to some disturbing episodes. And of course, there's also Cephalopod Lodge, which was some of the most miserable Squidward torture episode, especially with one line saying that the Cephalopod Lodge was the last great thing to happen to him.
Oh, and there's also the card, which basically has a confirmation that Patrick basically does all of his stuff on purpose.
And unfortunately, it gets worse from there.
Yeah,
and season 6 was bad. It was when SpongeBob officially went down.
Yeah, we definitely had Patrick being unlikable in this season too. Like the card was the worst offender of these, actually.
Yeah,
with that line.
Yeah,
but other times in this season where Patrick was unlikable. Let's see which one comes to mind. We had No's Nose. That was the one that comes to mind.
There's also from what I know, there's any episode where he basically tags along with SpongeBob and annoying Squidward.
Yeah. So yeah, the card was probably the worst one yet. And of course, we also had and also the Splinter was another bad gross out episode. There was also Pets or Pests.
Oh, good. Petter Pests. That episode was literally 11 minutes of these hideous looking worms shooting this green goo at people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, Voting Buddies, which is a Squidward that was both creepy and it was owned to one of the worst faces in the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that face is just awful.
Yeah, since we're being a bit negative, let's see what season 6 did right, but just barely. There was Single Star Anniversary.
Yeah, and there were good episodes in this season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like Sunk Should Come Symphony, and there was also Penny Foolish. There's
also Krabby Road, which I think that if the other episodes in the season were like that episode and also not normal, I think that the season would have turned out a lot better as a result.
Yeah,
Right.
another great episode in season 6 is Pat for Pat.
Yeah, Patrick at one of his most likable moments. Oh, and there's also Overbooked.
Yeah. And of course, there's also the best episode of season 6 that everyone can agree on, Sandcastles in the Sand.
The most creative episode of the series. Like the only thing that I really didn't like about the episode was the beginning where Patrick basically tears his skin wide open.
Yeah, but aside from that, it was really good. And that's probably the one thing that season 6 got right.
Oh, there's also the slumber party, which was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah. Girly teen girl. And also, this is one of those episodes where Mr. Krabs actually got what he deserved.
Yeah.
Season 6 for Mr. Krabs, like, he got episodes where he rightfully got his comeuppance for with an episode like the Slumber Party and Patty Caper. There was also the Krabby Chronicle.
Yeah.
Like, seriously though, that's when we thought Krabs would finally learn to not spread lies about people. Well, guess what he does?
He lies about people.
Yeah.
No, but before the episode ends, to give you
He gets all the money back.
Yeah, he decides to counterfeit.
Yeah, that was just awful.
Like seriously, and of course, Mr. Krabs being unlikable was also in Plankton's regular.
Right.
Yeah. Like he literally can't let Plankton have one single customer.
And apparently SpongeBob just abides his whim. I'm sorry, but SpongeBob should have just tried to at least be a little bit more supportive of Plankton instead of being Mr. Krabs' mindless sheep.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Like there were episodes in the pre-movie seasons that where SpongeBob actually stands up to Mr. Krabs. Like we all know about the episode where Squidward basically quits his job because Mr. Krabs accused him of stealing his first dime.
Yeah,
right.
And of course also Patty hype.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah, so season 6 was probably the season where the show really started to falter. But somehow, that didn't even end up being the worst part of season 6. We also had Truth or Square, and don't get me started on the way they were hyping up an 11-minute episode again.
Yeah,
Right.
to SquarePants or not to SquarePants.
This episode had a DVD, and this episode played so many times during the Ultimate SpongeBob Sponge Bash. Remember that marathon?
Oh.
I think so.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, the SpongeBob Sponge Bash was marking the end of season 5, with Goo Goo Gas being the last one. Season 6 was still ongoing, but it was also the start of, oh dear God, season we have to bring up. Season
7.
Season fucking 7. We're not even going to try to sugarcoat this one. Season 7 was the worst season of the entire show.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This one's like Stuck in the Ringer.
Yeah, I can bring up some of the worst. They had some of the worst episodes this show had put out. The ones that everyone brings up were One Course Meal. We had A Pal for Gary. We had Yours, Mine, and Mine. We had Stuck in the Ringer, and we had Someone's in the Kitchen with Sandy.
As well as Summer Job, as well as That Sinking Feeling.
as well as most of the Legends of Bikini Bottom episodes.
I remember when they were basically hyping those episodes up.
Oh, and then
Yeah.
we have Shellback Shenanigans. Like
That episode
when
was
we
mad.
got this idea of Plankton impersonating someone. Like first he was impersonating Sandy using her fur, ew, and using the what was it? Oh,
Yeah.
using then disguised himself as SpongeBob's grandma. Which come on.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
big sister Sam.
And don't even get me started on the Legends of Bikini Bottom. We had the main drain, which was such a filler-heavy episode with a twist that made the episode all for nothing.
Yeah, that didn't make sense.
And there was also the monster who came to Bikini Bottom, which was literally just Patrick and this monster derping around.
Right.
And of course, there's the worst one, Trash Billies. Like, I actually find this episode more grosser than the Splinter, actually, when you think about it. Especially when with how deformed they are, it looks like they did something implying something that's so immoral that it basically says, yeah, they kind of did a Chris Chan.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, who wants to look at these hillbillies?
Yeah.
Nobody.
And with the and of course it ends with Mr. Krabs marrying one of these.
Yeah.
God. I mean, on a positive note, there are some good episodes in the season as well, like Enchanted Tiki Dreams, as well as Squidward and Clarinet Land.
Yeah, Squidward and Clarinet Land was actually pretty good. Like, had some good jokes. Like when Squidward was finally back to his normal grumble soft, Mr. Krabs was like, "Well, glad to have you back again."
Another good episode in season 7 was Perfect Chemistry, which was the last episode of season 7, mind you.
Yeah, it's actually one of the very few times. It's actually has some of the best fart jokes in any show that you'll ever see.
Yeah, and when you think about Perfect Chemistry, it feels like an apology for Someone's in the Kitchen with Sandy, given that that episode was the first time Plankton and Sandy ever interacted throughout the show.
Oh, and there's also the abrasive side.
Yeah.
Where like they actually had a good excuse, like they actually had mean-spirited humor that actually worked.
Yeah. And an underrated episode of season 7 is Earworm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually feel like Earworm is an underrated episode. But of course, the few good episodes in season 7 couldn't even be saved with the worst ones. Y'all know which one. A Pal for Gary and One Course Meal.
A Pal for Gary was was one of the first episodes that came out in the 2010 decade.
Right.
Yeah, and that episode was probably SpongeBob at his worst.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Gary, you put Puffy Fluffy down right now. You blind, stupid fuck. Do you not see Gary almost being in peril and is still in Puffy Fluffy's mouth?
Yeah, and Puffy Fluffy is clearly not the ball that you thought that he was anymore. No, he turned into a monster.
And you're literally scolding Gary as Fluffy is about to eat you.
Yeah. And apparently SpongeBob just decides to steal Puffy Fluffy from the lady and not heed her warning.
Mm-hmm. And there's also One Course Meal, which has a suicide joke.
And
not One Course Meal.
There were some suicide jokes back in the SpongeBob's golden era and like in season 4, but like those worked because, like, they weren't going to do it. Like, and Squidward said, I wonder if
Yeah.
that, like, could kill me. Like,
Not to
he was
mention that was the episode that made everyone hate Mr. Krabs.
right.
Mr. Krabs, like I get that Mr. Krabs is annoyed with Plankton a lot of the time, but he went way too far in this episode. Like the only positive thing about the episode is the food fight at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, and like that one joke.
And
like
not to
when,
mention, Mr. Krabs
that
laughs
one
at the
joke.
part where SpongeBob states that Plankton was about to kill himself.
Right.
Yeah, and exactly. Thank you for bringing that up about a pal for Gary. What happened to having seen the snail, huh?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And of course,
SpongeBob did, and the weirdest part about it all is that there have been episodes in season 7 alone where SpongeBob did go back to caring about Gary. Like, there's the episode where Gary falls in love with this other snail.
yeah, which was the sister episode of One Course Meal.
Oh no.
Yeah. Season 7 was the other season of where Patrick was at his worst too. Like,
Right.
of course, we brought up Stuck in the Ringer, and Yours, Mine, and Mine come to mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's also the episode. There's also the episode. There's also the episode where Patrick where Patrick basically forgets about what SpongeBob's favorite things are.
You don't know Sponge. And of course,
Yeah.
Big Sister Sam, and I guess if you want to count it, Karate Star.
Yeah, Big Sister Sam was just infuriating to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The episode where Patrick gets a sister.
And of course, Patrick just enables her all the way to her destructive behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you do this?
Right.
And when season 7, and as far as the Squidward torture in this season, that sticking feeling was probably the one that come to mind regarding Squidward torture.
Yeah, that episode literally starts off with SpongeBob and Patrick laughing while running out of their house, and that's all they do throughout the episode. And the plot is so contrived, like they can just go around Squidward's house. They don't have to dig underneath it.
Right.
Yeah. And of course, the only thing that episode did right was give us the meme of the Squidward looking meme.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Memes from the worst of episodes.
And of course, Mr. Krabs, aside from One Course Meal, we also brought up Summer Job as one of his worst.
Yeah, that episode is literally if you took Boating Buddies and replaced Squidward with Mrs. Puff.
Right.
Yeah. And of course, there was another terrible episode we brought again is Someone's in the Kitchen with Sandy. Probably the definitive Sandy torture episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all Sandy wanted to do was find her fur.
Yeah, and she gets arrested for
Even though
public
we've
nudity.
seen,
What is wrong with you people?
There are
though we've
people,
seen,
like, there are characters that wear swimsuits in public places.
yeah,
Yeah,
this is
and what about the mermaids that they come across?
Right.
yeah. See, another moment of Patrick being unlikable was Back to the Past as well, for at least causing the deaths of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy.
Mm-hmm.
God, Patrick was horrible in this season.
And this also this also seems to be the season where barely anything happens throughout certain episodes, and the filler is out of control. Like there's the episode Krusty Dogs, which is the definition of boring.
Mm-hmm.
And there was
What
also
even
the
happens
place
in
the
that
thing,
episode?
Rodeo Days. of course, there was also that sinking feeling and A Day Without Tears.
A Day Without Tears is literally just funny pants, but with
Right.
crying instead of laughing.
Yeah, that one.
Except,
Oh.
and then, yeah, it's safe to say that season 7 is not our favorite season by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
Yeah,
And of course, that just leaves us with one more season during the Dark Age, and that's season 8. How would we define this season?
Let's see
it-
what episode from season 8 gave us.
it's
Season 8
the
gave us.
it's a slight step up from season 6 and 7, but it's also it also still has it's also still the season of low points for the series.
Yeah, we
but
have.
like in season 8, like I'll say this: the good episodes are definitely better than a lot of the bad episodes in season 6 and 7. I mean, of course, it's a SpongeBob Christmas that comes to mind.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
and there's also Hello Bikini Bottom, which is actually a musical episode done right.
Yep.
Yeah, and there's also
But
Planet of the Jellyfish, Drive-Thru, and Chumfricacy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It had some highlights, but unfortunately, it had some underwhelming episodes. Like, let's
Of course,
see. Oh, there was Pet Sitter Pat, the sequel to A Pal for Gary, where he chases Gary with a flamethrower.
There was also
What the
there
hell
was
is
also
wrong with
the
you?
there was also the Googly Artist, which I hated even when I was 11 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you
There's
doing a
also-
review of that episode.
I
Yeah.
remember it too.
Oh, Drive-Thru, where it was just Mr. Krabs smashing windows through at the Krusty Krab.
I actually liked that episode, actually.
Oh, okay. Might have to give it a revisit.
There's
Yeah.
also there's also the other Patty. There's the episode the other Patty, which is literally pointless because which is literally pointless because of the fact that the twist at the end basically destroys the entire plot, because the premise of the episode is that there's this other restaurant, but how could SpongeBob make another another patty if the recipe didn't even have anything in it?
Right. Probably my least favorite episode of that would be Demolition Doofus, where we had Mrs. Puff at her worst. Like, look, I get you're tired of SpongeBob, but like, she was downright malicious and bloodthirsty, and it was like disturbing, like seeing her how hellbent she wanted to see SpongeBob die.
And it was SpongeBob, and it was also SpongeBob at one of his worst moments. Like, he's just cracking jokes at the fact that Mrs. Puff is basically not being able to puff up because of him.
Right.
Yeah. And of
Fuck
course,
you,
season
SpongeBob.
8 was the season where we both had both Squidward torture episodes and Patrick the Prick episodes at the same time. Like, we had episodes like the Google Beast. We had episodes like A Friendly Game. We had Restraining SpongeBob, and the worst of the bunch, Smooth Jazz Bikini Bottom.
That episode, Smooth Jazz at Bikini Bottom, was just infuriating. Like, it's literally it literally has nothing but Patrick randomly shoving things into his mouth and eating it for 11 minutes.
And that episode had probably the combination of both worlds, which was just horrible.
Right.
Like Smooth Jazz at Bikini Bottom is probably in my top 5 worst episodes of the series.
Oh, yeah. One joke that just makes me facepalm is when Patrick goes up on stage and goes all like, "I would like an extra cheesy nacho with a side of cheese." God.
And of course,
Patrick, this is not a drive-through.
And speaking of episodes that are hated in season 8, Are You Happy Now? Which is basically one course meal all over again.
I had
like
mixed feelings. I
like
can understand why I didn't like it, but I mean, like, I feel like SpongeBob was actually trying to reach out to Squidward like in a meaningful way. Like, yeah,
like the episode feels like one of those creepy pastas.
right.
Yeah.
Squidwards.
And of course, one of my worst episodes of season 8 is yet again another Sandy torture episode. The third one and probably the last one in the entire show was Bubble Troubles.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
Sandy did not deserve to go through what she went through in the episode.
Yeah,
Right.
of the ones, this was probably the first episode that ever gave me nightmares.
What episode?
Bubble Troubles.
Yeah, that episode gave me nightmares as a kid. If your episode gives me nightmares at my youth, you know you've done something wrong.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And not like the good kind of scary. Like, if you know what I mean.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But of course, the good episodes, there was also the Krabby Patty that ate Bikini Bottom.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I remember it is the title card. The music for it is disturbing.
And there was also the Ghoul Fools, apparently. And the Good Krabby Name.
Right.
But yeah, season 8 was definitely a mediocre season, which was better than the last two, but still not a good season all overall. Like, I'll say this, the highlights do stand out more, but the low points still couldn't resist it. Oh yeah, I forgot, and another hated episode in season 8 was Face Freeze, which I think it gets way too much hate, really.
Yeah, I mean, it had the right elements going for it, because for starters, Mr. Krabs' story was more believable than his story in The Last Train, because, there was actually sources for someone, to tell the story. And, of course, it actually, on paper, it could have worked. SpongeBob and Patrick are warned not to keep making the same face over and over again, but they did. It was more of the ending that, is just confusing. Wait, they make this face that causes them to become frozen too?
It also gave us the memes.
Right.
Yeah. So now that we're done talking about the Dark Ages, an era I don't think anybody's gonna miss, we can talk about the current seasons right now with season 9.
Right.
Yeah. Season 9, the first half of season 9, which I like to call 9A, was definitely was honestly up there with season 4 or 4 and 5. In all honesty,
But one thing that brought that half of that season down, 3 episodes. Guess them all right now.
The episodes
SpongeBob,
were
you're
Little
fired.
Yellow Book, Squid Baby, and the infamous SpongeBob, You're Fired.
I remember that episode.
Little Yellow Book, for the longest time, Little Yellow Book was my worst episode of this in the entire series.
It's literally the episode. It's one of the very few times where Squidward is unlikable, but in a bad way.
Yeah, and
not to mention
everyone is unlikable too. Because
hypocrisy.
Right.
And this episode was basically the writers telling you, well, fuck you for complaining about the Squidward torture in the past. We'll spit in your face.
Right.
That's how I saw Little Yellow Book. It's an Attack the Critics episode, but if they never even bothered to make one, they needed at least one episode to use it for.
Right.
Exactly. Although I will give that the episode this, it's nowhere near as bad as Teen Titans Go's critic attacking episodes.
Yeah.
Oh no,
I
not
never
Teen Titans Go.
like I've seen there's bad SpongeBob episodes, but Little Yellow Book was the definitive Attack the Critics episode.
Right.
Yeah. There's also Squid Baby, which is another gross episode.
And one of the worst Squidward torture episodes, because at least with every other one of them, at least he wasn't the baby. So he can't even fight back to the torment.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, there's the worst of the bunch, which might as well be the worst episode of the entire show.
SpongeBob, you're fired.
Another
Where Mr.
ratings
Krabs
trap.
fires SpongeBob for a nickel. Mr.
Over
Krabs,
a freaking nickel.
you
I
have
mean,
What
better.
the hell is wrong with you?
You have better reasons to fire SpongeBob. You could have fired him because maybe he spends all of his life in a cook, or maybe, like, hypothetically, there's this whole accident. But you fire him for 5 cents.
Exactly.
There's
Like,
the-
the Dime episode in the pre-movie seasons didn't have Squidward being fired because of a dime. Squidward quit his job because he was being accused of stealing Mr. Krabs' dime.
Right.
Oh, yeah. And of course, there's every other problem with the episode. Filler.
Nothing happens.
And the little that does happen just wants to rip off another episode. Like, Mrs. Puffer Fired, A Day Without Tears, Model Sponge, Le Big Switch.
Even the name of the episode is a ripoff of Mrs. Puff You're Fired.
And you know what I guess about that on how this episode ends, because it's already predictable as is.
SpongeBob, the Krusty Krab was horribly run without SpongeBob.
Oh, who could have seen that one coming?
And of course, this episode has some terrible messages regarding the unemployed stuff.
Right.
Like, Fox News actually ripped this episode apart when it came out.
Even Fox News?
Yes.
Yeah.
But of course, the good episodes in the first half of season 9, we had episodes like Safe Deposit Crimes, Jailbreak, Evil Spatula, and Ekin Urchin.
Mm-hmm. Regarding regarding the rest of the episodes in the season, they were honestly just okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And of course, we had Sponge Out of Water that came out in the middle of the season, which was marked the point where Hillenburg returned to the show.
Yeah.
Although if I could be honest, I think that they probably could have just split the two seasons apart. Make season 9B into season 10, and add some season 10 episodes in there, and it would basically be a new era entirely.
Right.
Yeah, and because season 9B also marked a new animation style, which was already better than within the previous few seasons.
Is it the wacky faces?
Well, partially yes, but the animation in season 9 was actually a bit more better now that it's in HD.
And not to mention either, they started going to more locations than just spending time at the Krusty Krab.
Yep, season 9B was marked the point where Hillenburg returned to the show. And apparently people want to write that off and just say, oh, season 9 all the way to 11 were bad too.
I'd say that these seasons is where the show got back on track. Like, sure, there were some duds here and there, although but any era of the show did have some duds here and there, and there were good episodes as well.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and season 9B, we had some really good episodes. The ones that come to mind are Pull Up a Barrel, Lost in Bikini Bottom, Sold, Bulletin Board, Goodbye Krabby Patty,
The Sewers of Bikini Bottom, Sanctuary.
and Patrick the Game.
Right.
Game over.
Yeah, but unfortunately, as far as bad episodes in the second half of season 9, only 2 of them I can think of right off the bat. The first one is the Fishbowl, and the other one is Mutiny on the Krusty.
Mutiny on the Krusty. It just feels very, very confused.
Like, yeah, this is one of those episodes where Mr. Krabs is almost on par with his portrayal in the dark era of the series.
Not to mention either, there doesn't seem to really be all that many jokes, and the few that we do get, like that particular that one joke that they made is very stupid, where they basically said, hey, you should just maybe we should call the nearest Krusty Krab, even though the Krusty Krab that they're in right now is the only one that is ever made.
Right.
Yeah. And of course, there was the Fishbowl, which is basically Patrick being a jerk to SpongeBob.
Yeah, Patrick was just awful in that episode.
Yeah, like, those 2 are the only 9B episodes that I really disliked. I mean, there was also Company Picnic, which was just flat out confusing. Although, at least I'll give it this, I actually saw that episode before it actually aired on Nickelodeon because it was actually leaked.
And also, Company Picnic is actually, visually speaking, Company Picnic is actually a pretty beautiful episode. The Jellyfish Fields looks great in the episode.
Yeah. And of course, season 9B was definitely a noticeable improvement because it was showing that they were trying to get back on track. Honestly, 9B is honestly on seasons 4 and 5, and even the first 3 to an extent.
Yeah, and as for season 10, it's honestly it's definitely better than 9. It's definitely better than 9B because there were a lot of good episodes in that season as well. One episode that definitely comes to mind is Mimic Madness, of course, but there was also Patrick's Coupon.
And of course, Feral Friends and Don't Wake Patrick. Feral Friends was really good. It was nice to see Patrick come back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And of course,
and also Krusty Catering, which was a very funny episode.
Yeah. And as far as bad episodes, the only one in season 9 I really disliked was Housewarming.
Right.
SpongeBob torture.
Yeah, I mean, Snooze You Lose was just boring. Housewarming was just not good at all because it's basically if you combine Jellyfish Jam but make Wormy an ugly episode. The best thing about Housewarming was pretty much the ending, where clam up,
Right.
but. You expected me to feel sorry for Prickles after invading SpongeBob's body?
Honestly, they should have just had that be its own separate thing. Like maybe they should have had the episode be. Maybe they should have just had it to where Prickles was the only one that was in SpongeBob's body, but he ends up finding a new home at the end of the episode.
Yeah. All right. So now that and season 10 is up as the shortest season of the entire series.
And now now that we got season 10 out of the way, season 11 is my favorite of the post sequel seasons of the show.
Yeah, this was actually the last season I watched in full because
Mhm.
around season 12, at the start of season 12, I kind of stopped watching the show mostly because didn't have cable time by 2019.
Right.
I did watch all of season 12. Although I don't know if anyone else here watched through season 12.
Well, there were some of season 12 episodes that I did watch. Of course, there were a couple I came across, like of course there was the Nitwitting.
The Nitwitting is one of the worst post sequel episodes.
And for it to be the first episode to be released after Hillenberg's death makes it worse.
Right.
Yeah,
no.
The Nitwitting to me is exactly what the post sequel episodes get stereotyped as. It's literally loud and obnoxious all the way through.
Yeah, but of course, the good episodes, I did remember Stormy Weather. But of course, the one episode in season 12 that I think everyone can agree is the fan favorite
Mhm.
Is
Big
SpongeBob's birthday bash.
Right.
or Big Birthday Blowout. Yeah, that's probably to me the last really fantastic episode for me that I did watch. And yeah, this was way better than Truth or Square.
Right.
This episode is what Truth or Square should have done.
Yeah, it felt like they actually celebrated the show. And yes,
Mhm.
and it's actually my favorite episode, or even in my top 5, just because it was an episode that actually felt like everything that the show built up towards.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Including the ending where SpongeBob finally got to meet, where Patchy finally got to meet SpongeBob.
and unlike
Mhm.
Truth or Square, Patchy deserved it.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyways,
Exactly.
Back to
Yep.
season 11. Season 11. Let's get the bad episodes right out of the way.
My least favorite episodes of season 11 are Ink Lemonade.
There it is.
Fun Size Friends, No Pictures Please, Squirrel Jelly, and Bunny Hunt.
Yeah, and I also like to throw in Cuddly Hugs as well. Like, Ink Lemonade was the obvious loser of season 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yup.
Fun Size Friends is just really difficult to watch, in all honesty.
Yeah, like, if I had to make a list of biggest examples of boring episodes in the entire show, yeah, Fun Size Friends is probably the most boring 11-minute episode of the entire series.
Another example that I can choose that that falls into the boring category is Drive Happy. That episode to me is one of the most boring episodes of the season, which is strange because it was actually paired up with Old Man Patrick, which I thought was a great episode.
Yeah. And of course, there was Squirrel Jelly, probably the penultimate episode where Sandy was at her absolute worst. Like, aside from maybe Rodeo Days, this one was it.
Yeah, and also Bunny Hunt was basically a Squidward torture episode besides Ink Lemonade.
And Cuddly Hugs was just weird.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the standout episodes of season 11 that we really liked, there's The Legend of Bikini Bottom as the second stop motion special of the entire show.
There was also Appointment TV, which was one of the most heartwarming episodes of the show.
Yeah, there was also Karen's Virus.
Right.
Another unique episode.
The iconic my leg.
Yes.
Yeah, my
The
leg is,
iconic
my
My
leg is also
Leg
one of the most
episode.
divisive episodes of the entire show.
Uh,
You either love it or hate it.
I like
there was
My
also
Leg.
there was also Krabby Patty creature feature.
One
I
of the
like that
best
episode.
examples of horror in the show.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, regarding season 11, there was The String, which was the final episode of season 11.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, another remarkable season 11 is Squid Noir.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite of season 11.
Yeah. It's basically a showcase that the show can basically do a more serious plot.
Yeah. And there was also Scavenger Pants.
Right.
And of course, Goons on the Moon.
That one gave us a good fourth wall break. Where Squidward
Goons on the Moon. What kind of name is that?
Well, apparently it was called. And of course, and it was also called SpongeBob Married, which Nickelodeon advertised that special as a Christmas special.
I mean, Goons on the Moon on its own does at least deliver what it promised at the end, in that Santa Claus does make an appearance, unlike some of the TV movies that the show did previously, like Truth or Square or Atlantis SquarePants, and especially SpongeBob You're Fired.
Yeah. And let's see, in another season 11 episode that stands out is Chef Bob, aka
Chef Bob.
Squid. I like to call that Squidward done right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Says it though. Chef Bob was a riot.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to you?
Yeah, basically if you took me Squidward but put in abrasive SpongeBob, where Chef Bob just insults customers to no end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, season 11. Let's see what other standout season 11 episode we can think of.
Hold on, I'm going to look on the SpongeBob wiki.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably one of the biggest pairings in SpongeBob history that remains the yin and yang will always be My Leg and Ink Lemonade.
Right.
Yeah.
And what is probably the worst? What is the worst pairing of a SpongeBob episode? To me, the worst pairing of a SpongeBob episode is House It for Sandy and Smooth Jazz at Bikini Bottom.
Yeah. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, season 11 there's also Shopping List and Plankton Paranoia. Plankton Paranoia was a pretty dark episode.
Yeah.
Right.
There was also Bottle Burglars, which basically has which is actually one of the more unique takes on Plankton stealing the formula.
Yeah, and also another SpongeBob episode where SpongeBob and Squidward team up is actually with Sanitation and Sanity.
Yeah, I think that sanitation and sanity is one of the best examples of how to punish a character when they do something wrong. Like I like that they gave Mr. Krabs punishment for making SpongeBob and Squidward do all the dirty work.
Yeah.
Fuck you,
And
Mr. Krabs.
And also the Twilight Zone reference.
Mm-hmm.
Like that started in no
Tigers
picture.
on.
The night patty, the night patty is it was a great episode.
Mhm.
Yeah, another good Twilight Zone, and we see the return of the guy who likes to flicker the light.
Yeah,
Nosferatu.
Nosferatu.
Oh, there was
Yeah, when you
also
think
there was also Girls' Night Out, which basically paired Sandy, Karen, and Mrs. Puff together.
They
Yeah,
did
it's
this
an episode
again
we've
with the
all wanted
Plankton
to see in a
movie.
long time, and that episode did not disappoint.
Mhm. Yep.
And of course, and regarding season 11, I try to remember one of them, and season 11 was also kind of the season of nostalgia, as seen in Bubble Town. Yeah, we actually see more of Bubble Buddy's world, and unlike Bubble Buddy Return,
and the season also was the breakout season for Bubble Bass as well.
yeah, like Bubble Bass appeared a lot more than season 9. Almost as if the writers really loved the Pickles episode, and the world wanted him to come back.
Or maybe because he was a fan favorite character.
Yeah, like Bubble Bass is a jerk.
Yeah,
But
I like that. I really like that he got punishment at the end of moving Bubble Bass for making SpongeBob and Patrick do all the hard work, and on top of that, eating their food at the end.
If
Yeah, like-
my friend SpongeBob doesn't get his free lunch,
things are gonna get crazy.
and I
Yes.
will cut off.
Yeah, like Bubble Bass at least tends to get his comeuppance a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and plus his character is actually pretty funny.
Yeah. An episode in season 12 that I also like, besides some of the ones that you mentioned, is basically Bubble Bass's tab.
Yeah. Oh wait, wasn't that the one where Bubble Bass made the Pie Guy Rules reference?
Actually, no. That's in the Big Bad Bubble Bass. Season 12. In season 12, the episode Bubble Bass's tab basically had Bubble Bass constantly adding up his tab, which made Mr. Krabs frustrated, and SpongeBob and Squidward basically team up to basically do this board game, this real life board game thing.
Yeah, and of course, season 11, we can't talk about nostalgia without talking about the sequel they brought up, and that is Dual Dimension.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
How
season
many
11
team-up
was,
episodes?
yeah, season 11 was definitely a season that I tend to enjoy quite a lot.
Oh, I also like the episode Mustard O' Mine.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Season 11
one joke that I love throughout the episode is them making puns about mummies.
Yeah, season 11 was the season of characters teaming up and some nostalgia.
Mhm.
And it was the last season that Steven Hillenburg worked on before.
I mean, before he passed away. Although he did do some work on season 12 episodes. Like the last episode that he did before he passed away was Pineapple RV, but he did do some season 12 episodes.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that we lost Steven Hillenburg in 2018.
Right.
Man.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, because unfortunately, it led to the show having a very spotty future for itself.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And leading to some annoyance.
It was season 12 onwards. Like there was Sponge on the Run, which wasn't very good. Even if I do think it's a bit overhated. Like I think people hate on that movie a little too much than it really deserves. Like seriously
Especially
though.
compared to
I still remember that unhinged rant that one guy did. No, you don't get to do that.
That's 24 frames of Nick.
Yeah,
right.
24 frames of Nick.
Yeah, Sponge on the Run was definitely a disappointing movie, but compared to the next SpongeBob movie,
I refuse to even see it. It's the reason I made the I'm not watching that mentions.
No.
Saving Bikini Bottom. Yeah,
You don't
that
get to
movie
do that.
sucked. It was
You
so
don't get to
bad
do
it got
that.
leaked.
And I remember watching it.
I watched it when it got leaked as well. Like
what I will say about the episodes that were done after season 11, the episodes have been more hit or miss than anything.
yeah, yeah, and of course the misses was, and of course in the movies were definitely a dip in quality. Even if Plankton the movie was a notable improvement over both Sponge on the Run and Saving Bikini Bottom.
Plankton was alright. But Nickelodeon still ain't beating the feet allegations.
Right.
Yeah. So, what else do we have of SpongeBob that we haven't covered?
Oh, there's also both of its spin-off shows, Camp Coral and the Patrick Star Show, which we briefly mentioned.
Oh no,
Yeah.
not the spin-offs.
Yeah, Camp Coral was a mediocre gore fest.
Yeah, the show obviously shows that it really shouldn't have existed, because a lot of episodes of Camp Coral do nothing but rehash episodes from the main series. Although I did like the Patrick Star Show.
Yeah, like Patrick Star Show at least embraced its insanity.
Exactly.
Like-
Not to mention, it gave us the iconic Bubble Bass reviews episode, as well as another episode in season 2, which basically took a jab at Steven Universe.
Yeah, so I guess it shows that SpongeBob is still able to good even in this modern climate, even if certain Sponge boomers have other things to say about this franchise.
Right.
Hillenburg never wanted this. Ooh.
I'm not a
And,
fan of like I have to do a
and
video on this sometime, but like I'm not a fan of saying this. Well, I'm not a fan of using a dead creator to bash something.
Very interested.
And there is an upcoming episode called A Fish Called Sandy, which basically brought back the style of the earlier seasons.
And
it
it
actually
was
got
alright.
I'm sure people are gonna hate it just because of nostalgia.
Of course, I lost interest because like we already have so many great seasons, and for me, I mean, me personally, I lost interest in most stuff with Hillenburg gone.
Yeah. And of
Same.
course, we have the new SpongeBob movie that'll be coming out this year.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I guess has a little bit of hope in it is Mark Hamill.
Right.
I don't really know how to feel about it.
And
Well-
at least in regards to SpongeBob games, we may have gotten a dark age in the early to mid 2010s decade with Activision SpongeBob games, but they have made a comeback with the Cosmic Shake.
Yeah.
As well
And of course,
Jake.
yeah, the
As
Cosmic
much
Shake.
as I've given up on Nickelodeon, I still want to play most of the new games.
Yeah, and of course, SpongeBob games. The peak is the battle for Bikini Bottom.
Right.
Yeah.
That's one of the best games ever. And I got the remastered edition.
Sadly, I haven't gotten it yet.
Yeah, so yeah, that's a lot of SpongeBob we can say for now. All right,
Yeah.
how would we summarize this retrospective?
SpongeBob has been through many ups and downs over the years,
Mm-hmm.
There's a SpongeBob in all of us.
and
Yeah.
and admittedly, when it comes to animated shows, there have been other shows that have gone through worse seasonal rots than SpongeBob.
Right.
Fairly Odd Parents, Family
Yeah.
Guy.
Heck,
Family Guy is
even
just irredeemable at this point.
heck,
Aw,
even
parents,
heck,
Fairly
even
Odd Parents.
heck, even Dexter's Laboratory went through a worse seasonal rot because Dexter didn't even need to come back, considering the fact that at the time, Ed, Edd and Eddy and Powerpuff Girls were Cartoon Network's most highest rated shows at the time.
Why
Yeah.
did they bring it back?
Yeah, in terms of qualities, how we describe each era as such. Seasons 1, 2, 3, and the movie as the classic era. Seasons 4 and 5, the silver era. Season 6 to 8, the dark era. Seasons 9 to 11, the post era, or I guess the second Hillenburg era. And season 12, just flat out incomprehensible because we don't know how to summarize this current era of SpongeBob.
I'd say that seasons 12 to now are the hit or miss era.
Yeah, yeah, and the movies definitely varied in quality because none of them came close to the first movie. Although I do like Sponge Out of Water a lot.
And both of the both of the spin-off shows, one was good while the other was pointless.
Right.
Right.
And the games were good. Had a dark age with thanks to Activision, but they were slowly to come back. That's how we summarize SpongeBob all over the place.
Yeah,
Accurate.
like there are many shows out there that that do stop at their third season and end up being classics. Like take Chowder for instance.
Yeah.
Heck, I just finished watching the third and final season of Blood of Zeus, and that was awesome.
Yeah.
There was also there
I'd
was also there was also Amphibia.
Right.
Yeah.
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
Okay, KO, let's be heroes.
And they be Sonic Boom and BoJack Horseman, and those shows become a legacy. Why they become the greatest shows as a whole. SpongeBob is basically just a roller coaster in terms of quality. And with the show's future on still being unknown on how the show is going to continue, because we're already seeing Tom Kenny being tired of the role.
Yeah, if you listening to some of his voice recordings in some of the recent seasons, he still sounds better than he was in the dark era, but he is getting his voice is noticeably getting deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I've been noticing,
Granted,
and I
it's
have to
not
deal
as
with
bad.
it.
It's not
Well,
as bad
yeah,
as Julie Kavner as Marge Simpson.
Or Billy West as Ren and Stimpy.
So in SpongeBob's case, we have one kind of question: will the show finally end, or when we will should end at a certain point?
I'm pretty sure that there will have to be a point where the show will have to end because of the fact that the show ran its course. Like take Arthur for instance. That show finally came to a conclusion in 2022.
With 26 years on PBS Kids.
And currently speaking, SpongeBob is in its 26th year at the moment.
Yeah, and yeah, the marking the point of where SpongeBob will end is when Nickelodeon goes bankrupt, or when the show has a noticeable drop in viewership that it's not making them the money they used to. But it still makes money and kids still watch it, which explains why SpongeBob did not end. It makes too much money, and the target and demographic are still watching new episodes.
Yeah.
And all I gotta
although,
say is,
although
That's what-
we are also living in an age where The Simpsons, Family Guy, and Teen Titans Go are still going despite very low ratings.
Yeah,
Right.
but the difference is in the case of the case of The Simpsons and Family Guy, SpongeBob is a kid show first and foremost, and whereas Family Guy and The Simpsons have more of a different audience, with The Simpsons being more towards teens, and Family Guy just being for adults and teens,
Right.
which is something
And ironically, the Simpsons is also a show that has yellow characters, so maybe the color yellow always leads to success.
right.
Yeah. And in the case of SpongeBob, I think it's official that when the show ends, are we going to miss it?
Well,
We'll still have memories of it.
yeah, and the show will definitely live through reruns, similar to what Dag and Norb said in that Lost Angry Beavers episode.
Right.
Like whether or not SpongeBob finally ends in the in the next decade or so, we can't deny the memories we still have with it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Those first 3 seasons were legendary.
Mm-hmm.
And while seasons 4 and 5 weren't as good, they would still retain the magic of what made the show iconic.
Right.
And seasons 9 and 9 to 9, 10, and 11 basically brought us back to the golden age of the show.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the memory of season 6 to 8 will sadly won't be forgotten as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, SpongeBob SquarePants, a show that was at its height in the show's earlier years, that plummeted, had a resurgence, and now the future is uncertain.
Yeah. Although that is the legacy of Nickelodeon for you. You either have a show that goes on for a long time, or a show that crashes and burns immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that will be it for the entire SpongeBob retrospective. Nickelodeon's popular show, and this has been going on for 3 hours.
Right.
Nickelodeon,
Oh yeah,
give the Bob a rest.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Same, and also give the Loud House a rest.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
So
true.
how do we end the retrospective?
Yeah. We can basically give our overall thoughts on SpongeBob. SpongeBob is a great show.
Yeah, it's a great show. Well, it's had its ups and downs. When it hit its ups, they were ups.
It'll forever have a legacy with Nickelodeon.
And SpongeBob will always live in our hearts, no matter how many times the show goes on. And
when the show will end sometime in the future, it will basically join the likes of Rocko's Modern Life, Ren and Stimpy, The Angry Beavers, My Life as a Teenage Robot, etc.
Hell yeah.
As one of the greatest Nickelodeon shows of all time.
I miss My Life as a Teenage Robot.
Yeah. And aside from another show that I'll also be talking about, I'm currently ranking with right now, also having a very well documented legacy, SpongeBob will never go away as long as. And honestly, it's gonna be a sad day when the show gets canceled, because when the show does end, I'm actually gonna miss it.
Right.
Yeah. Although then again, without SpongeBob, Nickelodeon is basically doomed.
Yeah,
because what other show do they have?
If SpongeBob dies, Nickelodeon dies with it.
Yeah,
Because they don't have much.
the only
They don't.
the only other show that they have besides SpongeBob is maybe the Loud House and some of their other shows that they're currently airing, but the Loud House has gone through seasonal rot as well.
Yeah, and Nickelodeon, and with Nickelodeon have pretty much lost anything thanks to that, to a certain little documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nickelodeon would be in a much better place now had they decided to give their shows fair treatments. Like they basically lost.
And actually kick up the creeps there.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Harvey Beaks was treated terribly.
Yeah, and not to mention Middlemost Post.
Right.
As well as My Life as a Teenage Robot and Invader Zim.
Like, the only recent Nick shows that was able to get past like 2 seasons were the Alvin show and the new Smurf show, which is currently Alvin I think had 5, and the Smurfs is currently at the 3rd.
Yeah,
and it's getting a 4th.
And Rock Paper Scissors is has been renewed for a 2nd and 3rd season. Although, when was the last time that Nickelodeon ever really gave that show attention?
Yeah. When was the last time they gave attention to Middlemost Post?
Yeah. The legacy of being the prime example of a roller coaster. And I think that is the best way to end the stream.
Mm-hmm.
The road to redemption.
I hope you all enjoyed our 3 hours of talking about this show and the retrospective of it.
All right.
And remember,
there are plenty of other shows that we're probably going to discuss upon as well. Maybe even shows that inspired SpongeBob or were basically spun off from SpongeBob, like C.H. Greenblatt's C.H. Greenblatt's show Chowder, or maybe even Rocko's Modern Life.
Yeah. And we'll have plenty of other shows to talk about, such as My Little Pony, which generation 4, and of course regular show and the Loud House, and maybe talk about some other Hanna-Barbera cartoons,
like Dexter's Laboratory or Powerpuff Girls,
or the Looney Tunes or Tom and Jerry,
or OKKO or the Owl House.
Yeah. As well as Gravity Falls. And this was definitely a great way to start off our new series. We started with a bang. Just like how we started our Talkcast and Pal series with the worst apology on YouTube we had to witness.
Yep.
Anyways, see you next time.
And remember, no more burner accounts. No more angry messages. Get your anger managed.
See you later, guys. Bye.
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 Adios.